Hello, everybody. My name is Lewis Lee, and this is Plan and Traffic. And this is where we talk cars, boats, trucks, and anything you put gas in, we talk about it. So if you're in Facebook or YouTube Live, please like, share, and subscribe and let people know what we do here. And you are welcome to comment in the comment section, and we can see them on the chat. And you can interact with us tonight. We're going to be talking about car shows in your area. We had a show last week, Salem Cruise, they call it, and it was pretty good. The last day it rained on everybody, but no, it was pretty good. So I want to hear your opinions on your cars and coffee and things like that, and we'll get the fellas in. Papa Squirrel, you want in? Give me a nod.
Hey guys, how y'all doing?
Good afternoon or evening. Hey, Mr. Ray.
How are you, fellas?
Better than I deserve.
You and me both.
You got a new setup going on. What's going on in there?
Got a new camera. So now I can show the close-up stuff. Late at night, when everybody's gone, I can show the close-up stuff now.
Okay. Looks good.
I had a computer guru over here yesterday help me out with an issue I was having. And I asked him, I said, hey, can you give me a recommendation for a new camera? I want to get a better camera. He says, I got a bunch of them at home. So we ran over to his apartment, and he throws me this really nice, what is it? Really nice Logitech.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks good.
Yeah, 1080p, the whole 9 yards. It's pretty good, but so we'll play around with it.
I got a Logitech, but I don't think it's 10. Oh, it is 1080p.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, your video's fine. It's clear. Nice.
Okay.
We can see every new gray hair that comes in.
I know, right?
Yeah.
They keep popping out.
Yes, they do.
I'm trying to catch up with Brian.
And don't worry. After a while, it's just all gray.
It all blends in. Don't worry.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, right. So, how's everybody's week? I'm gonna tell you, I had a rough one this week.
What happened?
It's been challenging.
Yeah.
Step into the chair. Lay down on the couch and put your feet up and tell us what's going on.
Yeah.
We're here.
So I'm on vacation this week.
Okay.
And my whole plan was.
Let's start this over again. Let me start. Okay, now start.
There you go. Get the book.
Well, start the clock, the money clock.
Right.
So I'm on vacation this week, and my whole game plan was to sand the bus and paint it this weekend, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we get the sanding Monday. It rains on us. Yeah. Tuesday it rains, and my yard is a lake, so I had to move the bus across the street. Couldn't bring it back because the lake was in my yard, so that held me up. And it's raining right now, actually. It's supposed to rain all weekend, so my whole vacation is going to be busted, and I won't have my bus painted. I thought I was going to paint Saturday or Sunday.
Yeah.
Murphy likes people that makes plans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was ready. I was going to get up every day early and, throw some duct tape on it and start shooting.
Wow.
I myself have planned to take a day off so that I can get a few things done that I need to get done, and it never fails. I've now decided that when the moment comes, I'm just going to run and not and everything else can just fall apart after that. I'm not going to try to plan anything.
Yep.
I guess your days off.
That's the way I plan things.
Huh?
I guess your days off don't go exactly. What gets in the way? What trips you up?
Well, I mean, it's usually like I plan to take it was a couple of weeks ago. I planned to take a half day, and I get the phone call at 8:00 in the morning. A guy needs something, which I have on the truck, which is just not a $5 sale. It's,
All right.
fairly expensive, and he wants to pay me. It's not
Wow.
like I could say, I was like, I don't know, let me see what's going on. He goes, well, I got X amount of money right now. And I'm like, okay.
So
and then
you've probably learned that by saying, look, I'll meet you tomorrow, never ends up being a good thing.
no, because they just call the next guy.
Right, right.
Mhm.
Or if I know that if the Snap-on guy or the Mac guy, I even have an independent guy. If they're in that area that day, I have a chance of losing. And like I said, it just wasn't $100 thing. It was.
Well, so let me ask you,
Couple
what kind of tool would that be? Because everybody has their own branded stuff, and if he's calling you, he must have wanted something from Matco. So
Well, he wanted 3 half-inch guns.
oh, that's a good sale, yeah.
Yeah, it's over $1,500.
But I'll tell you the truth, Brian. I have Snap-on guns and I have IR guns, and I like my Matco gun best. So if I needed another one, that's the one I would want. And I don't think I'd want another one. I would wait the day if it was me.
Yeah. Well, I know. I mean, I just can't.
Yeah. I know.
In today's world, there's no loyalty on that. And if like I said, for whatever reason, it was in his mind that he wanted them right there and there.
Gotta get it to him.
You
So
got,
look, come meet me at my house.
Huh?
So come meet me at my house.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't
I
mind
wish.
the apron. I'm cooking.
So I actually last week I had a guy called and he's like, he pulled, the dog went crazy. So the dogs have gone crazy. So I know somebody pulled in the driveway.
Right.
And the phone rings and it's like, hey, can you come out and play? And I said, well, I'm in the middle of cooking dinner at the moment. What's the deal? And he goes, oh, never mind. And he drives off. Then I find out that he wanted to pay his pool bill off.
Oh, nice.
So for the $450, I think I could have turned but he said, actually, I ran into him later on. I mean, I saw him at his shop and he's like, I actually did a side job and had money I wanted to pay you off, but I spent some of it. Well, here's half of it now.
So look, tie it around a rock and throw it in my yard.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, if you would have started the conversation out instead of, hey, do you have time to play?
Right.
It was, hey, I'm here to do business or I want to pay you off.
Right.
That's,
Right.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah,
So-
that's it. You gotta, not only do you have to pick your battles, you gotta second guess what people are really trying to say to you.
Yeah.
It's like
And
dealing with your wife and kids.
yep, well, it's kind of like closing a deal on a sale. Sometimes I miss it. Somebody will say something and I miss that. That's what he wanted to walk off the truck with.
Yeah.
And I kind of just, get the, after about 15 minutes, I get the broom out and start sweeping people towards the door and head them on out, because they all think that's my only stop for the day.
It's like deciphering, when your wife says, what do you think I meant?
Yeah.
There's no good answer for that.
Right.
There's no good
Yeah.
answer. It's like, I'm taking the fifth.
Yeah. So, but it
I
all
have
comes around.
Yeah, I have to say I did get a lot done though. I did some welding. I welded up little holes that I had to fill, which were everywhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I made a door on the bottom. I don't know if I told you guys I was going to change that door at the bottom of the steps.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I
I did-
saw it. I saw it.
Yeah, so I redid that, and we pretty much got it sanded. Couple little, like I gotta do like the top where it starts to curve over, so I got to do the whole top of that,
Right.
and a couple little things I can shoot. So
So how you
What
gonna
grit?
pull that
What
sand
grit
off? You set up
sandpaper
a
were you?
scaffold?
What grit were you at?
120.
Well, with all the rain, you should have just gotten out some wet dry and just wet sanded it all down. Took a
Yeah.
little longer, but
Yeah.
could have still used your time accordingly. Slacker.
Yep. I don't like to be wet.
So listen, Lewis, when to get up to that curve, are you going to set up a scaffold or something to stand on? Because you're tall, but you're not that tall.
No, it's what is it now? It's 11.3 right now.
Yeah, that's
To
what
the
I mean.
top.
You know, what are you going to do about reaching it?
Ladders. I do have a small scaffold.
You know what I started doing years ago? I got smart when I would paint a room in the house. You know, especially when you're trimming it out, you're up and down, up and down, up and down. Like, screw this. I took my motorcycle ramp, the aluminum ramp, and I took a couple of milk crates, put the milk crates down, put the ramp across that. Now I got like a 6-foot run that I can just stand on that thing and just go and do the trim. And then you move it like maybe 4 times instead of 400.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
So I do have some scaffolding. I have those ladders that fold different ways.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm gonna throw some wood across that, so I'll have some scaffold there.
Right.
So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna scaffold one side of the bus, and I'm gonna run it, shoot that one side, primer it, and then I'm gonna swing the bus around, and do the other side.
Well, look, you could put yourself into a harness and then, lurch it over a tree, and then you could like swing across, and just
Like Peter Pan.
Yeah, right.
My luck, the harness will swing me around backwards. I'll never be able to see the bus. I'll be shooting the other way.
Peter Pan, the Sanding Man. Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah. So as soon as the weather breaks, man, if I can get two solid weather days, I'm gonna shoot it.
Yeah, you got to come east. We've had some nice days. We had some torrential rain yesterday. It's supposed to rain again tomorrow now, but today was a good day.
Yeah.
So
It's been
today
beautiful.
wasn't bad. It just started storming probably in the last half hour.
Okay.
I'll tell you what, that bus is no joke, man. It's a lot of sanding.
It's a lot of metal. Yeah, it's a lot of surface area there.
Yeah, me
Yeah.
and my wife, my brother came over and helped me.
Gotta have a block party.
Yeah, I was going to, but man, people are busy. It's hard to
know.
get people to round up. So I just, I was like, I'm just going to take the whole week and just stand and prep, and just get it ready for the weekend.
And now the week is over already.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. So
That's great.
I'm a yellow guy. I'm dirty.
Yeah. Wow. That's something. Well, this time next week I'll be in North Carolina, so I won't be here.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going back down again. It's both of the kids' birthdays, and we're gonna go and I gotta hang curtain rods and dartboards and put together tables and do oil changes and breaks
Bad stuff.
and look at houses and yeah, I got plenty of time.
Yeah. No. Yeah. You're free floating.
Plenty of time. Yeah. Unreal.
Yep.
Oh well.
So anybody got any good car shows lately around your place?
Man, out here by us, there are shows every day, every night. There's cruise nights every night.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got a list somewhere. It's ridiculous. Like every town, there's something.
Every
Yeah.
day.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, tonight there was one I was going to go to tonight, but I didn't.
Which one?
Baldwin. There's one. This guy I hang out with at the East Rockaway. There's an East Rockaway cruise night on Monday night. It's a small one, but a guy I met from there he's in some car club in Baldwin. They do a cruise night at the Fireman's Field on Thursday night, which is tonight.
Mhm.
Limbrook is back doing theirs again, I think, on Wednesday. Or is it no? Someone's doing one on Belmore is Friday.
Yep.
I don't know about Tuesday. There probably is something Tuesday. They're all over the place, and that's just. I mean, the whole island in Suffolk County. I mean, you couldn't keep track of them all. There's so many.
That's the problem that I have, because some of them are like, every third Wednesday after,
When they do that, that's a problem. It's every What's it?
every Thursday. I mean, every third Thursday. But if there's 5 in a month, there's only on 4. It's got some crazy, and it's like,
Mhm.
dude, just tell us when you're doing it.
Yeah, that's a problem when they do it like that. Weekly, you can kind of remember, but
Yeah,
when they do it like that, it's a real problem.
Right.
because
Ray,
I'm
did
the
you
guy.
get your-
I'm the guy that drives all the way out there, and it's like nobody's there, and you're like kind of like, well, I got a good spot, and then you're just kind of waiting around and realize you're on the wrong day.
Yeah.
Ray, did you get your car up and running?
Yeah, I took it out today. I had it out again today. I'm at the point of just needing some fine tuning. And the thing is, I'm not used to I'm used to diagnosing stuff, but not really looking at it in action. So I got to make sense out of some of the readings. I still had a couple times where I would slow down, for a stop, car would come down to idle. And then as I go to take off, it would stall. So start right back up and go. So that's probably in the IAC circuit somewhere.
Still learning.
I've been playing with some settings, IAC hold, and there's some percentages you can change. I didn't go doing that yet. I'm trying to be very incremental and not make a lot of changes at once. Surprisingly enough, the air fuel ratio is very good, which I thought was going to be very bad. And I was just playing around with the timing too, because now the timing is controlled by the sniper.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at timing control, and I got to tweak those numbers a little bit. So it's the tweaking stage.
Yeah. Well, again, as long as you got a book and writing stuff down, and not trying to get like you said, do too many at one time.
I know the problem is too. You got to do all this stuff through the handheld. You got to go through the menus on the handheld device. So, sometimes you're trying different things. So to write everything down, you forget it. All you'd be doing is writing stuff down. You got to sometimes make a change and try it. But I don't know. It's
well, at least if you write down where you started. If you started at the beginning of the day and you started and you played around a lot, at least you can go back to a starting point where you knew issue where you had one thing.
I'll give you an example of what I did. Like I have the base timing set at 15 degrees, and they ask you to set wide open throttle and wide open throttle timing and cruise timing. Now I've never looked at that. And how do you look at your timing when you're driving? You can't. So I have no idea what it's going to be. So I guessed. I said like 36 degrees for cruise and 32 at wide open. I figured it wants to back down. So I noticed when I was cruising on the highway tonight at about 70, the timing was back down at the base timing, which was 15. Air fuel ratio was great, and the IAC was at 10%. And I thought the IAC should have been maybe at 0 at that point. But I have the IAC hold set at 10, which is basically that's the point that it'll go to when you decel to let it decel fully without stalling. So again, I gotta get a little more education about the interaction of these settings. I gotta talk to someone at Holly and learn a little more. It's learning itself. It's learning as you drive. Hey, Tyler, know some of this
Hey, what's
stuff.
up?
Hey, Tyler. Tyler just jumped in, so he probably know.
Yeah. We're talking about fine tuning the sniper.
Okay. For the most part, every time I've done a sniper, I've just let them self-learn, and then I go back in and after the fueling table is pretty close, I go back in and I see if I can add some timing, get a little more power out of it, all that kind of stuff.
Now that was the question that just came up. They asked you to set base timing, then they asked you to set wide open throttle and cruise timing.
Yep.
And I said, when you're driving your car, you never see those numbers. So how do you know? So I said 15 for base, static timing at 15. Let's go 32 for wide open and 36 at cruise. Figure you want to back it down at wide open.
Yeah.
And that seems good. But I took a picture of the controller as I was on the highway. So I'm cruising at let me see. I'll tell you what it is. I'll look at the picture. I was at 1,700 RPM. TPS was at 6%. I was in fifth gear. AFR was 14.4, which is phenomenal. Ignition timing was at 15 degrees, and the IAC was at 10%. And I'm questioning the IAC because I had to set an IAC hold number, which they explained was the number that the IAC would rest at, so that when you come off the throttle, it would start from there to bring you down to idle, so your transition to idle wouldn't be. But why is it at 10% when I'm cruising at 2,000 RPM? I thought it should be 0, but because it doesn't need to add air at cruise.
That could just be where it parks at normally.
Well, I'd set it. I set it at 10. I had it set at 40 before, and then I was having that plunging problem. So I went put it at 20, and then I just put it to 10 to see what's.
Yeah.
Again, I'm just playing around with it, but I want to play with it a little more educated. You know, that's the
Right.
thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So when it's sitting there at 10% open, that just means that you as you're driving to maintain speed, you'll be giving it a little less throttle with your foot naturally.
6% on the TPS, which is like nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then again, I was doing 70 in fifth gear, so you don't need a lot of throttle to maintain speed when you're at speed.
Yep.
So,
And if you had it set to 0, you might run into an issue where if you let off the throttle suddenly, it might stumble and want to die.
see, that's the thing, that's kind of what the beauty of this is. Through the handheld, you could do that on the fly.
Yep.
You can just change it and see what happens, you know. But and then you got to change it back fast. Like, whoa, shit.
Right.
So, I guess that's what's good to have somebody with you who knows what they're doing.
Yeah. The good news is, as long as you leave like the fueling self-learn turned on and you don't go too crazy with the timing stuff under wide open throttle, you can't really do much to screw it up.
That's what I figured. Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing that I was scratching my head on is I start the car cold, it fires right up, but it doesn't behave like a modern car. It doesn't go to like say 16 or 1800 and then come down. It kind of starts at like, I got the base idle set at 750, so it'll go up to like 900. Then again, maybe it's me overthinking it. Maybe the computer knows that's all it needs.
Yep.
You know, I don't know. Again, I don't know because I'm new to the system. So
Yeah, I'd have to look and see because I don't remember all the parameters that the Sniper has available to it. If it's all the same stuff as the Terminator or not.
right.
But if I recall, well, actually, I can minimize you guys and open up my Terminator software right here.
They should be similar. Yeah.
Yeah, let me see here. Getsy's Camaro. Looking for.
Now, would it make a difference running two duels?
That's a good question, Lewis. And the way it works is the rear Sniper is the control. That's where the ECU is. The front one is just kind of like a slave. It just kind of, because the linkage is connected to it, it just follows. I mean, the injectors do fire, but the front one follows. And they are connected. They are connected electrically with jumper wires. So,
Yeah, so in your if you go into your target idle speed table, it will have all the way down in the coolant temperature column, all the way down to -40 Fahrenheit.
okay.
So if you think if you think on a cold morning you need more RPMs, you can go in there and you can adjust it.
Okay. Yeah, I would imagine. It is, I would say it's very, very adjustable. And you can even change the percentages, which is really nice. But you gotta know what you're doing. You know.
Yeah, let me see.
You know, I'll learn as it learns. I'm surprised somebody hasn't come out. I mean, I watched a ton of
Here,
YouTube
Lewis, I'm going to
videos,
share my screen.
and most of them are really good. But I'm surprised someone hasn't come out with a you know, like a how-to book, like a you know, a shop style book. Yeah, oh, there you go. Yeah, right.
Yep. So on the idle speed tab, you've got your RPM, you know, target idle speed, and your
Coolant temp.
temperature down here.
Yeah.
Yep. So this would be your regular idle over here once you're warmed up, and then this is your ramp in, and then this is your warm up.
Right.
So,
I was watching a guy from one of the engine shops, and he was going between this descriptor and then like a 3D graph, and he was showing how you can smooth the curves, smooth the transitions between. Well, I think he was looking at the timing curve at that time, but between timing and fuel.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which is really cool. That's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see ramp down. There you go. Yeah, it's at 40%. Yeah, there's IC hold position is 40. I think that may be the default because mine was at 40. Like I said, now I brought it down to 10.
Yeah. And this is also a Terminator. So
Right.
it's set up as a standard throttle body. And a lot of this stuff you can tweak stuff like with your throttle stopper screw.
Right.
So, yep.
Yeah. I've been seeing that so far. Very nice. Very good.
And other than just like what he talked about with the other problems, Ray, about the sensors not actually, like I said, you don't want to, if you see your sensor or have an idea that your sensor is not moving in the right direction or warming up,
Right.
like your temperature sensor,
Right.
if it says the -40, it's a bad. So
Oh yeah. I did see a guy mention that he went out to his car and said, car's cold. Fired it up, looked at the handheld, said handheld showing my CTS is 82 degrees. He goes, it's like 60 degrees in my garage. So I went out and checked mine. 10 o'clock. I run out there at 10 or 11 at night. I turned the thing on, and the temperature sensor told me like 85 degrees. I'm like, it's like 60 something degrees in this garage,
Mhm.
So these are the Chinese sensors that Holly provides. I ordered a GM sensor. I got the Delco sensor. I just put the wire on it, checked the handheld, and it said like 61 degrees. Like,
yeah.
perfect. That's
Because we had a problem with the first generation Boxers. If the car sat in a garage, like in an apartment complex, building.
Oh yeah. You say that.
And with all that concrete around it, it would suck down a low, to a lower temperature, even though it might have been like 65, 70 degrees in ambient air temperature.
Yeah.
And what would happen is the car would flood out because it had been sitting sitting in that with all that concrete and had gotten cold.
Right.
And
Right,
we
right.
actually had to change the parameters of that.
You need a CTS heater.
Yeah.
That
Got to
would
plug in your gasoline car
Right.
and like a diesel.
Did you
block
did you
warmer.
have the Holly sensor selected, Ray?
The Holly sensor?
Yeah.
I didn't see
In the top?
selection.
Okay, yeah.
I
That's
just
why
see
it's
the
nice.
fact, I just see that it reads it.
Okay, here. I'm gonna share my screen again, Louis.
Okay.
So what's nice is when you bring up the laptop software, you can do different stuff. Like
Yeah.
over here on the left, these are all your your
Sensor.
sensor calibrations and stuff.
Right.
So MAP is manifold air temperature,
Right. Right.
and probably it was on a different selection than the sensor you had connected.
I see. Yeah. Yeah, I see. You got Holly and GMLS and Chrysler. Right.
Yep. And then
Right,
you can do a custom one if you have a resistance chart.
Mm-hmm. What's under the CTS tab? How's that
Oh.
set?
Coolant temp sensor, same thing.
Yeah. Oh, okay. There you go. Okay, yeah, you see. Well, that's the thing. I can't access that software yet. I don't have a laptop, but I'm putting out the guy that I had come over to do the computer work. He's buying a Mazda 3 on Saturday, and I had one, and he wants my mounted dedicated snow tires and rims. So I was going to
Yeah.
sell them to him, but I told him to look, you're a computer geek. I need a laptop. Let's trade.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yep.
there you go.
You use a laptop, I'll give you the tires and rims.
Yeah, and this is the same way too. You can do your if you know your resistance of your sensor.
Yeah, that I guess I'd have to look up. I don't know. They don't tell you.
Yeah,
I mean, I guess I could measure. I could just measure through the pins.
yeah, you could. You'd have to. Well, so you would need to know to be truly accurate. You'd need to know your sweep too. So
Right.
you'd have to put it in. Put the sensor in like 32-degree water. Measure
Right.
your resistance, and then put it in boiling water and measure your resistance.
Right. Right.
But for the most part, like if you just use the Holly out of the box sensor or whatever,
Yeah.
that's
Those are the
all.
ones. Those are the
all
ones that are out of calibration.
Yeah. So it depends on what you select when you first set up your stuff too. Like if you put GM small block, it's probably gonna put a coolant temperature sensor, a custom profile in for like an old school, old school style sensor.
Yeah. The other thing related to the coolant temp that I want to get a handle on, and I was thinking about it last night. I said, I think the timing is too far retarded because my coolant temp is running it's running warmer. The car's running like 190. It even touched 200 yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it should have been cooler. That's usually indicative of retarded timing.
Right.
I know with the carburetors, that car liked timing, and I would add the time. Yeah, there you go,
Hmm.
the map page. Yeah. When I would add timing, the car would run cooler. If I ran it too retarded, it would definitely run hotter. Yeah, there you go. That's exactly like what I was talking about. Yeah, the spark
Yeah,
time.
I'm trying to. There we go.
Yeah, it's like looking at Tron.
Yeah.
You know.
I remember how to,
Yeah, it's cool.
can't remember how to move it around.
Yeah, he did it. He was able to grab it. He clicked on something, grabbed it, and he was able to rotate it 360.
Yeah.
There's one of these guys in the engine shops. You know, he built it was a Ford shop, but
Right. And then you got these other cool options too. So like if you
launch retard. Yeah, I saw that in advanced tuning.
yeah, so you can enable that, and then it's going to look at your an input,
Mhm.
and you can tell it to be active with an input. So like if you're holding a trans brake, you know,
Right.
or at input release. So when you release the trans brake, you can tell it to pull timing out. This is how you control your power curve on a boosted application where you can't change your boost.
Right.
So like a Pro Charger or a Roots blower,
Yeah.
this is how you would control power off the hit
Uh-huh.
at the drag strip.
Right. Yeah, that's good. It makes sense.
And then you can also you can make it pull timing for coolant temperature and air temp and all that stuff.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So,
Very nice.
and again, this is the Terminator software, so Sniper is probably a little different.
It's very similar because I've been watching these guys and I've been seeing stuff that's very similar. So, and it kind of makes sense because you're really doing the same thing.
Yep.
You know, the hardware is a little different, but the theory is all the same. The other oddball thing that happened to me is when I put the fuel pump and sender in the tank, I think like 6 gallons of gas back in the tank, and I turned the key on. The gas gauge wasn't reading. Like, should be reading something,
Hmm.
but it wasn't. So I went underneath. I actually put an ohm meter on the connector to read, and I had read the rheostat when it was out of the car, and I know I had a 0 to 90 ohm sweep, so it was good. So now I'm reading it at the connector at the weather pack, and I'm not getting anything, getting it open. I'm like, what the hell's going on? So I figured, you know what? I'll worry about that later. The first day out, I took the car out. I put $40 of gas in it. Said I got enough gas now. So still didn't have a gas reading. But yesterday it wasn't yesterday. 2 days ago when I was cruising it around, I looked down, and I'm looking at 3/4 of a tank of gas. I'm like, oh, okay. I don't know why, but now the gas gauge is reading. Chalk that up to who knows, but who cares? Well, took it out today, and now it's on empty again. So now I got to get back to figuring out what the hell's going on. It's just a stupid rheostat, and it uses the same wire that I used previously, so it's not like anything else was added or changed.
Right.
So stupid things like that. That's part of the process.
Yeah.
I'm actually happier it's happening on my car than somebody else's car that I worked on because I can ignore it and leave it alone. Get back to it later.
Mhm.
Yep.
Except if my wife is around, she wouldn't ignore it and want to know why did it happen.
Well,
I
do
don't
too.
know.
I want to know that too. But my point is, like, if it was a customer, you got to have it fixed now. When it's me, I'll fix it later. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
As long as you know you got gas in it.
Hey, Papa, quick question. Did you not insulate the ceiling of your rig?
Not the back part of it. I left it translucent.
Okay.
The way it came. My wife wanted more light back there. And since I'm not planning to get out to where you guys are in the winter, where you got snow and ice and miserable stuff.
All that fun stuff.
Hell, those parts of California I won't even travel in the winter.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
does
no,
it-
we
does it-
didn't.
Does it sound like you're stuck inside a snare drum on marching band day when it rains?
No, because we got a curtain back here. We pull it across, and when it's raining, we hardly get any noise at all. This thing does not transmit noise.
Hmm.
That's
Yeah.
nice.
You hear a little, but not much.
Gotcha.
We're still working on this. I haven't decided. what I want to do yet.
Yeah.
It's been 5 years or longer, so
Well,
I may never figure.
the age-old adage of temporary fixes become permanent.
How many
Yes,
times did that
it
happen?
does. And I try to watch that because I'm a big one up for that temporary fix, and I'll fix it later.
Fix it. You
Yeah.
fix it when it totally breaks all the way.
I was gonna say you don't fix it
Yes.
till it breaks again.
I had a scare. Degreased my motor, sprayed it all off, jumped in, and the PTO light came on.
Oh.
I was like, this vehicle don't have a PTO? So I don't know what it is. It went out, but I was scared for a minute. I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on?
You could put a PTO on it and put like a tow truck boom on the back.
Yeah. I seen, you know what? I seen a bus with one the other day. No,
Really?
the bus was an RV, and they put a lift under it and was towing their car.
Nice.
Yep.
No,
You were asking about car shows. I just went to a no prep race last weekend on Saturday, so that was a lot of fun. Those are sketchy. If you're used to like legit drag strips and stuff, no prep races are sketchy.
Yeah.
In 2 weeks, I'm going to another one up at Coonley Motorsports Park. And I'm going to take all my camera stuff with me, and I'm going to get a bunch of footage, and I'm going to do a what is no prep racing video.
Mm-hmm.
Because I get asked that pretty frequently by my friends and stuff. So I'm just going to do like a 10-minute video kind of highlighting some differences between regular drag racing and what goes on at no prep races and stuff, and the kind of zoom in on the culture, because it's a totally different atmosphere at a no prep race than it is a regular drag race.
Yeah.
Now, well, elaborate on that a little bit, please.
As far as that, how the atmosphere is different.
Yeah, you're talking about, because it could be different in a lot of different ways. I have my own thoughts, but you're talking about like safety wise or professionalism or just organization.
A bit of it all, yeah. So
That's what I would imagine. A little bit of everything, yeah.
So a lot of times, the safety aspect is a little bit more relaxed because there's no sanctioning body, right? There's no NHRA officials walking around checking stuff. So it's kind of more incumbent upon each individual racer to acknowledge the fact that they're taking their lives into their own hands
And
and
their competitors, yeah.
yeah, and to and the audience too. I mean, like it's in a lot of ways, no prep racing is much more dangerous. But the flip side of that is, almost everyone there is more cognizant of the safety aspect, simply because there's no rules. There's hardly any rules to be enforced about, fire suits or any of that stuff. So when you see a racer get out of his car and he's wearing tennis shoes, shorts, whatever, you can tell this guy's probably dangerous, right?
Yeah.
But the flip side of that is you see a guy who technically doesn't have to wear a full fire suit to run, but he is. You know that he's a safety conscious kind of guy.
Right.
No prep is Friday night.
Yeah.
No prep. The only difference is no prep is usually at a track, and instead of being, I mean, instead of going down to the local road that's closed and people out there in the middle of the night on a whatever night, and you want to. I've been to. We used to have a place, V Street, down in DC, and it was in the alley.
Yeah.
And you had to watch it because if you pissed the wrong person off, you got a dumpster rolled out in front of you. So, that was a rough neighborhood.
So these guys are going quick. I mean, you're talking like a lot of these competitive small tire cars. They're going like close to 5 flat in the 8th.
Oh wow.
On a pour your own puddle track. So that means it depends. So there's like 3 different races. There's a front of the track race where they strip off most of the rubber at the starting line, and then you pour your own VHT tire glue, whatever, do a burnout in it, and then you pull up to the line. So almost all the time at a no prep race. First round, cars are squirrely, people can't get traction. By the time the second round comes around, a lot of times the track has picked up and guys can put down more power. So the first round is anybody's game. You could have a 900 horsepower car lining up beside a 3,000 horsepower car, and you don't know who's actually gonna take the win.
Yeah.
Another thing that's really different about no prep is like if you go to a regular drag race, a points race, whatever, in the staging lanes, pretty much you'll have people keeping to themselves or maybe just like small groups of friends. At a no prep race, the entire staging lanes and the whole starting line is just crowds of people.
Yeah.
Friends and family.
And it's all friends and family, and there's side bets going on, flying all over the place. I mean, you're doing, as you're a crew member for a guy who's racing, and you're bending down to pour his puddle of prep to do the burnout in. If you kick your back foot out, you're gonna hit somebody. There's just people everywhere. It's a whole different atmosphere. It's totally different. Like Brian said, it's like the side of the road race in the middle of the night, but just at a closed facility.
I would like to see that film because that explain a lot to me about stuff. Because we used to do those those late night races, and people would listen to sirens or lights that wasn't supposed to be out where you were, and get the hell out of there.
Yep. Yeah, for sure.
A friend of mine got caught. Said, The officer asked him, "Are you out here racing?" He said, "No, sir. I'm out here watching."
Yeah.
We had one Friday night, and with all the entertainment and excitement going on, I tell you one thing, you definitely heard when the neighbor walked out onto his porch and racked the shotgun and blew a hole in his tree. We all cleared out of there pretty quick.
Yeah, hell yeah.
And I still, to this day, with all the racket that was going on, you cannot miss when a shotgun racks up.
Nope.
That's true.
That noise
They said
will
that's one of the
overcome anything.
number one recognized noise.
Yep.
And everybody looked around, and all of a sudden you see all these leaves falling from the tree, and that was it. We were all giddy up and go after that.
So along those lines, there's a scene in a movie called Phone Booth. It's Colin Farrell and Kiefer Sutherland star in this movie. Colin Farrell plays a guy who's just a complete douchebag of a person, and Kiefer Sutherland is a not quite serial killer, but he's like a sniper. Okay, and so somehow Colin Farrell gets in this phone booth and he gets on the phone with this guy, and the sniper starts convincing him that he's got him in his sights, right? And he says, if you leave the phone booth, I'm going to shoot you, blah, blah, blah. Stuff happens around him. Like he shoots someone in the street, like half a block away that the guy in the phone booth can see. Anyways, the coolest scene and the scene that sticks in my mind is through the whole movie, the only thing you hear of the bad guy is his voice, right?
Right.
So Colin's on the phone with this guy, and you hear him. He's like, "Oh, I'm gonna hang up, and I'm just gonna walk out, whatever." And you hear the sniper rack his bolt on his rifle, and he says, "Now," and he's talking to the guy. He goes, "Now, why did I just do that? It's weird. You watch a movie, and the bad guy comes up, and he cocks his gun right before he goes to take out the good guy, right? Why? He would already have a bullet in the chamber." Because that sound is scary.
Exactly. I think that movie is a remake of a movie that was made either in the 60s or the 70s. There's been a couple like that. There's been a few like that. I remember it was, But yeah, you're right. It's that evoke fear. The unknown. Yeah.
That little monologue about racking the gun, racking the slide, racking the gun, loading the gun. That always sticks in my head.
I'll tell you when I first got married, I was living in Queens, and got myself a nice little short barrel 12-gauge shotgun. And my wife was like, "You really going to use that?" I'm like, "Listen, you never want to have to use it, but if you need to, you're going to do it." And she says, she didn't get it. I said, "Okay, let's do a little role play here." So it was a 2-story house, small house. So I put her downstairs at the base of the steps. So you come in the front door and the steps were maybe 20 feet away. I said, just stand here around by the base of the steps. I shut the light out. I went upstairs and the lights were out. I said, I just stand there. She goes, what are you doing? I said, just wait. I said, at some point, I'm going to, believe like you entered this house. And I waited like a minute in silence. At the top of the stairs, I took the shotgun at the pump and I just racked it. And I heard her go. And I came down the steps. I said, you get the point? I said, if somebody comes in and hears that and still comes in, I have bigger problem.
Yeah.
We're cleaning up blood. There's going to be a lot of it.
See, now the AR sound is a little different. You're clink, cling.
Right. Yeah. And you let it go. You let the bolt go. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that pump, man, what a noise, especially in the house because it echoed off the plaster walls. It was,
Yeah.
And I think being
I
dark,
still think a pump shotgun's the best.
Yeah.
being dark
And
at
that's
night,
what-
like exacerbated
That's what
it.
that's what my firearms instructor said. Every crook hears a pump shotgun because that's what the police use, and they're attuned to that. And he
Right.
said that is the best self-defense thing you can have.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I laughed. I said, "Yeah." And a wife that can finish off whatever you don't do, whatever you.
Yeah.
The only other one that
Yeah.
would be scary would be a Remington BDL, semi-auto shotgun, but you don't hear that. It's already chambered.
Well, see, I send my wife out first because she shoots better than me.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there you go.
Hey,
him,
what do
baby,
you
get
think
him.
I do?
I sent
Get
my
'em, girl.
target to my buddy in Columbus, who's a police officer, after a range day a while back. And he goes, "Dude, you shoot your pistol like most people I know shoot their rifle."
Okay.
Yeah,
Hey,
it's
Brian,
funny.
you'd be proud of me this week.
Uh-oh.
I was at the auto parts store,
Uh-huh.
and I don't know if you guys knew, but I used to own a Merkur XR4 Ti,
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Nice car.
and I hate that I ever sold it. I miss it.
Yeah. And
So-
you found a Hot Wheel, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Ah, sweet.
And I was
Yep.
like, Brian, be proud of me because I bought something I really liked.
That's it. That's it.
Yep.
Yeah.
I got a chance too. This guy who was over here, he's buying a Mazda 3. He's got a Subaru, a WRX that's really hot rodded. He spent a lot of money in this car, but he also has a Supra that he had back when he was in high school. It's an 85, I think.
Oh, wow.
I saw it was under cover. We didn't uncover it, but he's looking to sell it. And I was thinking, man, that might be a cool project car.
Oh, yeah.
Those
Yeah.
Supras are pretty
Those things are super hot right now.
Yeah, I
man.
was going to say that. They're hot.
Yeah.
Hot. I mean, hot's not even the right word for it.
Yeah.
Any of that Japanese stuff is just unbelievable.
He was
And
telling me the first gens were more desirable, obviously, because it's the first gen. But
And they were dogs.
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, just basically. But what people do to them is, they're just amazing.
They're putting the Acura motors in them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. It's kind of like the whole putting Subaru motors in Volkswagens. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? I mean, it's just anything Japanese is
Yeah.
just
Now, you know that the Merkur had a Pinto motor in it with a turbo.
yep.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And that's the same motor in the turbo coupe.
In the Ford Super Coupe, the turbo coupe. Yep.
Oh,
Yep.
Old Pinto motor.
Yep. That was
Now, did that have the dual overhead? Did that have the dual overhead cam head on it?
I want to say, yeah.
Ford.
Yeah, dual. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, my Fiat's a dual, a 4 with a dual overhead cam. Yeah.
yeah.
What are you
It's
doing,
pretty
Brian?
funny.
Matching up socket sets or something?
Do what?
No, actually, believe it or not, I don't want to make myself sound really cheap,
You're sorting
I
change.
but yeah, I bought a new phone with the change I had laying around. I bought a 14 with the
Wow.
change. Yeah, actually,
pretty
I
good.
kind of bought two phones because I bought one for me and one for Brianna,
Wow.
and that was basically with change laying around. And I still have change laying around, so I'm starting my second bag.
You checking all your pennies for wheat pennies and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and I'm weighing my 1982s and 1983s, and let's see, looking for the double strikes, and let's see here. I'm more looking for quarters though.
I was say you're looking for D quarters, right?
No, W.
Oh, W. Okay.
W was West Point, and there's literally Terry. What's up? W. Those quarters are hitting about $25 a piece. So,
Yeah.
Wait a minute. What?
on
God,
a 2021 and 2022 quarter, they, because of the shortage of change, they opened the West Point print mill open to the public, because usually the West Point did ceremony coins.
Yeah.
So there's less than 100,000 out of the 1.2 billion quarters made are West Point quarters.
Wow.
And they go for they literally go. I mean, I sold one to a guy the other day for $20.
Wow.
Wow.
Found it at Target when I bought my Hot Wheel, and as he said, "Man, I'm looking for his West." Oh, I got one. Really? Yeah, $20. Had lunch. I had lunch at Tippy Tacos, and I ate good that day.
Tiki tacos.
That's terrible. Are we still alive? I shouldn't be talking about stuff like that.
Hey, we have a celebrity in the house, Terry Wilson, Coverman 66.
Yeah, look at that guy.
It's true. Famous.
Famous. So did you try
I don't know
another
what you're
color
talking about.
bumper yet?
Yeah.
Huh?
Did you try another color bumper yet? I
Like
want to see.
bronze?
I want
I
to see
think
assorted pictures,
The
Terry.
bronze
Come
or
on.
copper, maybe?
Yeah.
Listen,
I think the
got a
bumper
whole
that's on this list day.
I got a whole bunch of those quick disconnect, like push button, hood latches. We could make your bumper pop on and off really easy.
There he is, slingshot in the house.
What's up,
guys?
Hey, Terry, I went and looked at your car yesterday.
Oh, what do you think?
I don't know what that means. If you
I don't know
like, I
what
can
that
search the
means.
Oh,
website.
no, no.
Hey
Sit,
Siri, I want to look at your car yesterday.
Siri, shut up. She's been drinking again. Hey, I know you're going to do it right.
You know it. You know it. Yeah, I was looking at your school bus, man. I like that last video you dropped.
The walk around?
You had I forgot what song you were playing in the background.
I don't know. I put on like 3.
I think it was
Back to back.
EPMD.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, those are my cats there.
Nah.
Yeah,
no,
I mean,
no. The bumper is going to stay on the Chevelle.
looks good.
We're not changing colors.
No. This is that car's last brouhaha. That's it. Once that car is finished, it's going in retirement. No more taking parts off to try new parts and companies. And I got other cars I could do that with. That car has served its purpose for over 10 years.
The poor man
So-
wants to drive the thing.
Oh no, I'm going to drive the snot out of it. You're going to see it. But that's the thing. I drive them. It's going to be up in the grocery store. It's going to be, like not going to be in a movie theater where I'm going to be away from it for like an hour, 2 hours. No,
Yeah.
that's going to be my car that I
You're
drive.
walking home.
You got it. I got to get the front bumper wrapped. I think I bought some wrap, and I'm gonna do a video on wrapping it. Like I might hit one out the park. Who knows? But I don't want to take that bumper off to get it repainted in 3 years. Because rocks kicking up on it and all that. So I got a clear wrap coming, and it's funny because I'm gonna be putting a video out. When we were at SEMA Lewis, Tyler, you weren't with me. I ran. He's such a great guy, Chip, and he was telling me about I think the Chevelle was there. He has a 70 Chevelle, and what he did was he took the 70 rear bumper off and put a 71, 72 bumper because he felt that the round lights in the back should be just like the round lights in the front.
Oh.
And I said, that should have been the model. That should have been the 71 model. 71 should have had that front end and the new tail end. 72 should have been like single headlight with the round in the back. But then he didn't stop there. What he said he did was he took an El Camino front bumper, because the El Camino front bumper has 70 has the circles,
Right.
as the indicator lights as opposed to the squares. And so he said he wanted the whole car to be round and everything like that. And I was like, well, being that you mentioned that, let me show you what I got working. And, you know, I had to turn the phone off because, you know, to let him see the picture and everything like that. I didn't videotape him, but he thought it was a great idea. He asked me, how come I didn't just go with that? And I explained to him, he said it made sense. So that made me feel good. I was like, when that guy tells you, keep going, I like the way this looks, you know. And I told him,
You're doing something right.
why don't you just put
Yeah.
the driving lights, you know, a little further apart? I was like, well, if you notice, I got rid of the license plate pocket, and I thought that it would look better more in the center than like under the tail light, under the headlight itself.
Mhm.
And he was just like, yeah, okay, yeah. He says, this is great. And I was just like,
You should have seen that because he's the guy that moves the pockets on those.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I got the Chip Foose seal of approval.
Now, did you flip the bumper?
Seal.
Did you flip it upside down?
The bumper?
Yeah, because Chip flips his a lot.
No, I didn't. I know there was no need.
They do
There's
that
no
on the
need. Once I got
55
rid of,
Chevy,
you know what it was? Once I got rid of the, because I was going to do it like that. I was going to have them like close to, you know, if the top headlights are here, I was going to have them like right below, maybe a little bit. But then when I got rid of the pocket, the license plate pocket, it opened up, and I was like, I got to put them right in the center, you know. And I just think aesthetically
Yeah,
it looks a
good.
lot better.
Yeah, it
You
does.
know, and then a
Thank you.
person asked me, he goes, you know, you got rid of the license plate pocket. How are you going to open up the hood? Because the hood latch goes through the top of the bumper.
Good question.
And all I did was, you know, like I was able to reach up under there. I made like a little handle, which a video will be coming out soon. Yeah,
Electric
made like a little
popper
bit of a
on
handle
remote.
where you just stick your hand right up under the bumper, pops up. It's good. Because I was going to do it a low car. I got a low car, actually. I went and got one of those low cars, but I was like, you know what? I can make this work, you know? So
Mhm.
that's how it works. And it seems like a lot of people are liking it. I had one guy who roasted me at first, and he came back and was like, Terry, I got to apologize. I didn't see the vision. You know, at first you told me, you know, like when you first said how you like it, I kind of said, no, it sucks, it's whatever, such and such. But now that I actually see the finished project, I apologize to you. And it looks good. And I, you know, how can you be mad at someone like that? I mean, like,
Yeah,
you know,
that's
I
it.
asked for his opinion. I said to him, you know, like, listen, I appreciate you gave me your honest opinion.
Right.
And that's how you felt. But for you to come back now, I mean, you could not have said nothing and I wouldn't have thought about it, but you actually came back and apologized and, you know, and kind of humbled yourself, you know, and that, you know, to change your idea from it sucks, your idea, I don't, you know, whatever, to it looks really good. That made me feel good, you know?
It just goes to show that, you know, we're not always right the first time. Sometimes, yeah, when you're watching somebody else do something, you know,
Ray,
you don't always
not
you don't
always
see
right the
it.
first time.
We don't have the same vision a lot of times, and yeah, that's good. I'm glad he did that.
No, that was cool.
That was the best part.
Yeah.
What's that?
He manned up. He's like, yeah, you know
Well,
what?
yeah.
What's wrong?
I mean,
Yeah.
Especially
A
on the
lot of
internet.
people
That's
wouldn't have
hard
done
to
that.
I handle a mistake that differentiates the boys from the men.
Well, that's when
Well, thank
the
everyone
shady
here
dog
because y'all had
blew
nothing
the
but nice
hair on
things
the
to
ball
say. I
sack.
really appreciate it. Yeah,
Well, the
so
thing
thank
is,
you,
good
everyone.
job.
is we all
Yeah,
we
thank
all see
everyone
things
here.
differently.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And who told you to go with color key bumpers?
Say again.
Who told you to go with the color key bumpers?
Kelly.
I give it to you. I give it to you, Jim. You sound yeah. You know, you're one of the originals. You're one of the OGs.
Hey, I want to see what Kelly says. Olstein.
Oh, I can't wait. I'm gonna say I can't wait.
Because you know
Kelly
she said
Ossie, she went in at what's it called? Kevin Ossie's wife. She went in. Kelly was just like, I told her, you need to have your show. You need to have like a keeping it real with Kelly because Kelly was just like, you know, like you know, if you can't do it with like a color front and a rear back with a chrome and all that, it just ain't gonna look right. It looks like you ran out of money.
Hey, we were standing there like two little kids in class.
I was just like,
We was like,
you know,
yes, ma'am.
yeah. I was like, you got it. You know, it's gonna be one or the other. And Kevin was just like, Kevin, you know, he's like an intellectual. He was just bringing like stuff to, you know, into the conversation, which I wasn't even thinking about, you know, like matter of fact, he was the one who was just like, you know, I always look at it like if, you know, if you paint one and you have the chrome in the back, it just looks like, you know, like it's incomplete and, you know, like from an aesthetic point of view. And he was just bringing it. And I was just like, okay, you know, and then Kelly just came in and just ripped it. Kelly was the closer.
Yeah, she got her own gig.
Yeah. How many people going to SEMA this year, or either PRI?
I know I'm doing at least PRI. I don't know about SEMA yet.
I will for sure be at PRI.
Yay!
I think I might go to SEMA for maybe 2 days, 3 days. I don't think I'm gonna stay the whole week.
Nah, I'm. You know what it is? The more and more I go to SEMA, the more and more I appreciate PRI. You know, for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
Because you know what it is? SEMA, you're walking through and you're seeing so much stuff. The only advantage SEMA has that I see is that it's a car show. I mean, the parking lot's always full with cars and they doing stuff. Where PRI, yeah, you got some cars in the hall and all that, but you know, it's performance, man. I like the stuff. I like the whole layout with PRI, even though I wish it was in Florida because it's rainy and cold, but that's getting over that in therapy.
Yep.
You know, are we kidnapping Ray?
I don't know. He's slippery.
Don't know where I'm going to be by then. Who knows? I can be anywhere.
That's the beauty of it.
Hey, you guys
You can
want to
be
go
anywhere.
to the what's that car show's name? Wait, what is it?
Low car?
No.
The low car.
No. It's in Wisconsin.
No car.
No, low car is
No
Sam.
car.
What is it?
I'm just busting the chops.
Oh.
Arco's car show?
No. Wait a minute. Let me look it up. Hold on. I got the guy coming on.
Ray, how you doing, buddy?
Pretty good, Terry. Pretty good.
Pretty good.
Yeah, man. I agree on the bumper thing. I mean, I was in the chrome camp, but I do agree 110%. They either had to be both chrome or both painted. You couldn't have done it half and half.
You don't understand, man. When I put the back one on first, and I put it all together, the lights and everything, and I put it on there, and I had to sit there for like 10 minutes because when I first finished it, I stood back and I was just like, I don't know how I feel about this. And I just sat there. I just looked at it, and it just kept on growing on me. It kept on growing on me. I was like, well, you know what's going to happen? I got to put the bottom balance on. And it's going to have the chrome exhaust tip sticking out. That'll break it up some and all that. And plus and then you know what did it for me? Once I slapped that Chevelle emblem on, I was like, okay, I got to stick with it. Yeah, okay. That's what really confirmed it. Putting the trunk lock in, start putting all the stuff back in.
Cars,
like, okay.
When you're restoring a car, it's continually changing in front of you. Every step of the way, it just keeps getting a new face, and that face changes. And sometimes you can see it going in a direction that maybe wasn't right, and sometimes it just keeps getting better. And when it keeps getting better, it's a real good feeling because you're doing it to your own mind, right?
No, yeah. I always thought that bumper needed the front bumper needed driving lights. I don't know. I'm a product of the '80s, and everyone used to have like those square lights underneath.
Actually,
didn't do jack.
That's what I was asking you about the lights because I want to add them to my FJ out in the bumper as outriggers, and they put them out there, which is good because it puts them out wide. So we'll get the outsides of the lane, and I want to add those in there too. But I got to find the right light. I'll send you the link. Okay.
If I tell you what, I'll tell you what, Ray, because I love you the way I do. I bought the original set. Still have the original set, same set. The only thing is when I was fitting it, one fell out and cracked.
Ouch.
So now if I can get the lens, I'm going to try to call up Weston, see if they, will send a lens or something like that. If they do, they're yours.
Oh, cool. I'll put them to use.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
All right, guys,
They're
time
yours.
to take off. Take care.
All right, Jim.
All right,
All right,
Jim.
Jim.
Later,
Well, you have
Jim.
stuff, 'cause I don't have stuff for you, Jim.
Hey,
I'll
Jim.
give you something else. How's that?
Hey, I'll take a T-shirt.
Huh?
There you go. You got it. I'm getting some new ones made up. I got a new design.
Can't wait for it.
Nice.
Ray, when you're talking about an FJ, are you talking about one of the off-roading vehicles?
Well, it's a street vehicle. It's the Toyota FJ Cruiser. Yeah,
Oh,
so
okay.
it's a regular road vehicle, but it certainly is off-road capable because it's high, it's four-wheel drive, it's all of that.
Where's your die cast, Ray?
It's the newer FJ.
Okay.
Yeah, not the old. There is an old one. Get to show off with the new camera now. It looks
Look at
like
that.
Oh yeah.
Voodoo blue.
Oh, the
too.
one that looks like it has a white hat. It's a different color.
Right.
Okay, yeah.
They're all white except for the TRD ones. Right, exactly.
White hat. What?
It looks like a little white baseball cap on or something.
Yeah.
Looks like a Pixar.
All of
Looks
them.
like something from Cars.
Yeah, but the funny thing is, there's one color that it's just solid. I saw a solid one. I think it was like an army
Yeah,
green.
those are TRDs.
Those are the TRDs. The off-road. The TRD versions. There's a bunch of them. There's white. There's sand. There's a lot of them that are the single color. And they look they always had the white roof. So when you get used to that and you see them in a single color, you're like, "What the hell is that?" But it's
That's exactly what it was. I usually when I had a buddy who was getting ready to pick up a burgundy one with a white roof. And it
Yeah.
looks out of place when they all solid one color, but they do look nice. I do like them.
It's one of those vehicles that you either love it or you hate it. It's got suicide doors. You can't get in and out of the rear door unless the front door is open. So there's a couple of quirks. But as a truck, it rides great. Even with a short wheelbase, it rides phenomenally well. Iola Car Show.
Lola. It's Lola.
Yeah, it's one of the biggest swap meets in the country.
Wow.
That's
And they have a big car show. A lot of celebrities go.
I never heard of this.
that's in a few weeks.
Yeah, you gotta look it up. It's pretty big. I guess it's miles of what do you call it? What did I just say? Swap meet
Swap
Swap
meet.
meet.
and car
Swap
show.
meet.
Yeah. There's a lot of celebrities go to this, so we all should gang up and take a road trip. Arco
In your
said he'll
school
meet
bus,
us
let's
over
do it.
there.
Maybe.
How far is
Won't be
Wisconsin
ready by
from you?
Won't be ready by then, but we can road trip it.
Yeah, how far is Wisconsin from you guys, you and Tyler?
About 7,
That's
Yeah.
it?
8 hours.
So at 7, so that's like 10 or 11 for me.
Is that like north
So-
or towards the south end of Wisconsin?
Ooh,
North.
what is this?
North.
It is shrimp and chicken with noodles and vegetables.
It's
You
in
want-
line
It's
with
probably about the
Green
same for me
Bay.
either way.
Everything you eat, I cut
I go
shrimp
north or
off,
go south.
took all the tails off and cut the shrimp.
Okay.
There's way more shrimp.
Yeah,
than
so if
chicken.
you guys want to roll, we can Airbnb.
Oh, I'm on camera.
Then turn the camera off because you're eating it.
Ew. In 2 weeks?
And you dribble
Yeah,
and you look terrible.
Let me see if we'll talk about that.
come
I
on,
know
man.
Tyler's down.
Let's roll. Tyler, you
Yep.
down?
Yeah.
Sure.
We get an Airbnb. Arco said he'll meet us
I was
over
like,
there.
sure.
I have to borrow some money from one of y'all, but
Yeah.
Hey, I was gonna ask you for some
I
money.
got you. I'll help out. I'll donate to the Tyler Fund.
Yeah, here we go. This is what you need to do.
Yeah.
there you go. Yep. Well, listen, I got a whole coffee mug full of quarters over in the
That's
other
what I'm
room.
saying.
I'm gonna have to go through and
Yes.
see if there's any West Point quarters in there.
Yeah, so West Point quarters.
Yep.
Second, hold on. When you said I came in on that conversation, what was that? What's a West Point quarter?
Well, if it's only for 20, was it 21 and 22, 2021, 2022 quarter. If you look down where the mint mark is, they usually have either Denver D or P for Philadelphia. Well, because of the shortage of change, they open up the West Point plant to release quarters. Usually, the West Point one does all the commemorative coins. So when they released they released it, and it was literally less than 10% of the production of quarters, which only came out to be like 100,000 quarters out of the 1 million quarters that are normally.
West Point where? New York?
West Point?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was West Point up in
Let's go, buddy.
West Point.
West Point.
West Point,
Where
New
the
York.
fuck's West Point?
Yeah, West Point, New York.
Yeah.
Isn't it Maryland?
It's up.
No.
No, West Point, New York is about
The military
30 minutes
base,
from me. It's
the
up in
army
Palisades.
base, West Point.
That's right.
Yeah.
So they usually do like commemorative, or they do some of the $1 coin. They do very limited, and like I said, most of it's all mint stuff. So it's not out into the public that way. It's commemorative wise. So when they open that up and sent
What
those
year?
out,
What year did you say?
That's 2021, 2022 quarters. And that's the new quarter. That's the quarter facing the opposite way with George's head is bigger and it's facing, and it's a new design. And actually they have a whole bunch of casting problems with that. And some people get really crazy and buy some of the casting problems. They have a problem with a crooked mouth and a effed up ear or whatever. Look, nothing's
It's gonna be
perfect.
the next big thing.
But that's, I mean, no, I'm serious though. Some of that stuff, is supposed to be searched, or not searched, but checked before released. And some of that stuff gets out. There's actually one of them's called a spitting quarter, because they have, on the back of the quarter is one of the black aviators, female or astronauts or whatever. And the die hit when it stamped the thing, left mark coming out of her mouth. It looks like she's spitting a loogie out. And those things go about for $15. So if you find one with the spitting, they call it a spitting quarter.
The spitting quarter.
Yeah. So, but the West Point ones, well, can drive you crazy. It's tough being me, but it can drive you crazy.
Yeah, I'm gonna look. I got a bucket full of quarters. I'm gonna look them up.
Yeah, any of the new ones. And then,
where
said,
can I cash them in? Suppose I had like 50 of them. Where can I cash them in?
At Brian's tool truck.
Yeah, well,
Brian's
like I
tool
said,
truck.
people
people
are looking for them. All you gotta do is go on eBay, man.
Just go up to the sliding window on the side of the Macro truck. You
That's
knock
it.
3 times twice, then
Not
once.
three-
It'll open.
Exactly.
You have to make sure you have the right credentials. I don't let everybody on the truck,
Right.
I think I'll get on the truck. All right.
Hey, you can bring some of those quarters up, and I'll get you a toolbox.
I was thinking
You need one in a bad way.
Hey, Ed, tacos are good. Hey, Ray, guess what I get tomorrow?
What do you get tomorrow?
I get my Italian Ferrari, or my Italian toolbox, my Lambos.
Oh, good. The roll carts. Cool.
Yeah, they finally.
How many
come
years
in.
ago did you order those?
Yeah.
Actually,
12.
No, those were ordered 3 weeks ago.
That has
3
the
weeks
brand
ago.
new 2021 Lambo on it.
That's got the Italian job. So, they're Italian toolboxes. They're made in Italy. So
since we're
I
talking
can't
about
can't wait to see what they really. I mean, I saw them at Expo. They are really nice, but I just.
Well, from a company that's known for its toolboxes, I still question why they went to someone else to make a toolbox.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm curious.
And and I asked that question. And they just said,
Shut up,
"Why
you
not?"
bother me.
They said,
No,
"Why not?" It
work.
fits it fits a certain it fits a part of the market. And people are looking for. They're not looking for a big box. They're looking for this size box. They're looking for a workspace.
Well, how different in size is that from the other roll carts that you guys have made? Because they've been around for a long time.
Well, there's a difference. I mean, there's size difference.
All right. Okay.
I mean, that was the problem. That was one of the things that drove me crazy. We used to have like a 42 inch or a 42-inch toolbox, and of course everything went to 56 inches.
Yeah.
And of course, when you have your entry level guy coming in, 56 is just really too big, and 42 is a really good size to start. Well, they started making all the carts that size, and some guys don't want to have it where they want to be able to work on top of the box, on top of the cart. They don't want to have it open all the time, So we kind of lost one end of it, and we started making all these huge ass carts.
I'm starting to think that these new breed of mechanics are a little bit like a little pansy-ish. I was happy to have a toolbox, and I was happy to have a freaking piece of a countertop to work on. I'll work on a milk crate if I could.
Yeah, actually, this is the funny thing about it, Ray. I mean, this is even way back when I was at the dealership. It depended on who your service manager or service director. We had one guy come in and he hated workbenches. He literally had us all drag our workbench out, throw it in the dumpster, and we're not having workbenches.
Wow.
And we're all looking like now we have to work on top of our toolbox. If you didn't have a hutch or have a top box, if you had, or you're working on the floor. So here you go. You got at that time a $65,000 car, and you got the leather interior all laid out on the floor, rolling around like two monkeys in a football. You know what I'm saying?
Nice.
And it's and then of course then it just it amazes me how much money they spend, because then you get the next service director in there, and he's like, "Where's your all's benches?" Well, we don't have any. So then they spend $1 million for benches, to get us all new benches.
Well, that's a management thing. I mean,
yeah. And, that was one of the things I hated. That's one of the things I hated about the roll carts. And as much as I wanted one, but I wanted to be able to work on it and not, either having to open the lid every time I needed to open a drawer, because usually the lids lock the drawer.
Locks the drawer, yeah.
So you can't open it. So if you had anything on there, you had to move it all, and then I had to open it, and So I don't know.
I wasn't from that world, so I don't know.
So hopefully tomorrow I get my Italian boxes, and maybe I'll have a little sneak peek or review on them.
Nice.
So,
wait, guys, I'm gonna jump off because I can't hear anything because it's raining so hard.
Oh wow!
Damn. I'm gonna hop off as well. I gotta get to the gym.
Get to the gym.
Here, I'm gonna go get something to eat for bed.
Good
idea.
Lewis,
hey, fellas.
how's the paint job coming? So now, where are you at now?
Oh boy, here we go.
Playing in the rain. He took off the wrong week.
Yeah, I took off the wrong week.
Lewis, just call your boss up and just say you got to take off next week because it's going to be nice. Don't worry.
Yeah.
He'll allow he'll forefront you some hours.
Yeah, tell him you told me, huh?
Yeah.
Right.
You like airplane? Looks like I picked a bad time to stop sniffing glue.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, all right.
Oh man.
Yeah, I mean, I got a lot done. I can't complain, really. I did get a lot done on it. So
He's looking
as soon as
great.
the weather
that
breaks, I'll
school
be
bus is looking really good.
yeah. As soon as the weather breaks, I'll be shooting. I got some tips from Marco yesterday, so I'm ready.
Nice.
Now you take it down to. Did you take it down to metal, or what? How far did you go?
No, just scuffed it.
Okay.
Scuffed it. Yeah. So I'm gonna primer it, then scuff it again, and then shoot. Sun-kissed orange.
Yeah, the only thing that's gonna be a real bitch is around the rivets.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
gotta really spend a little bit of time around the rivets because
Yep.
when they redid my tool truck, I tell you that was a mess. They didn't take any time around the rivets, and they
That's
didn't
where
have
to
any
fill.
time before it came apart.
Yep.
Get that real sharp looking orange, and then put a navy blue C on it.
Navy blue.
Yeah. Oh, watch! I got the hat. I'll show you.
All right.
Oh. I know if you want to get mad.
Oh, my man Lee's in the house. He said he got 2 gallons of cool bus yellow.
Yep.
No, oh yeah, that's sweet. Except for the C.
That's C.
What was that? What was
C's
that?
got to go.
Yeah,
The C's got to go.
Oh, come on.
Oh God. You can do. You turn the C right side up and look like a wishbone.
Well,
Yeah.
the way they've been putting teams together for the last 20, 30 years, yeah, they do need a lucky horseshoe.
There you go. It's even better. Lucky horseshoe. Oh man. Well, gentlemen, it's always a pleasure.
Yeah,
Got
Terry.
this dinner ready.
Hey, everybody, have
All right.
a good weekend.
We'll see you
And
guys.
Happy
stay
Father's
safe.
Day to everyone who has won.
Yes, happy Father's
Yep.
Day. to
Happy
everybody.
Father's Day.
Yeah, guys.
Yeah, definitely.
So and I won't see you guys next week. So I'm going to be in North Carolina doing some stuff. So
All right, have a good trip.
You be
man.
doing father stuff, right?
yeah, handyman stuff
All
and
right.
looking at houses.
Be careful, and if you
That's
see
right.
any schoolies, send me the pics.
I will. You got it.
All right, guys, have a good night.
All right, guys.
We'll
Thank
see you
you.
Take care, everyone.
All righty. So Justin, you know, I wanted to talk to you yesterday when you were texting me. But I had this guy here with this computer guy that I was doing stuff with. It was like it's a comedy of errors. Like when you're sitting there doing nothing, nothing's going on. I got like 3 people reaching out to me yesterday that I really wanted to talk to about stuff, and I couldn't do it because you can't do 2 things at once like
It's
that.
one of those things when you do one thing, you're doing 7 things.
Yeah.
That's just how it is.
But you know, a lot of times I want to dedicate more time to the one thing and really be able to concentrate on it, and I just couldn't do it. So, yeah. So, what did you call the boys at Holly today, or
It did, and at this point, it is off the truck and in a box.
good? Yeah, it sounds to me like you definitely had a refurbished unit.
I spent I don't know a couple hours today checking this, checking that, just doing a bunch of stuff, and I'm at the point where like it's got to be the unit.
Well, you know what? Tell the guys what you found and what the clues were, so that everybody knows what was going on.
Well, yeah, because it's weird. We had the truck running fine for a while, and then it would just all of a sudden, all the sensors would go bad. It would lose communication and show no data, and the truck would die. And only when you unhook and rehook the battery, you'd be able to start the truck again. And so I mean, I went through, checked. No,
Was this on the Bronco?
no, this is on a C10.
Oh.
We did a crate motor and a EFI on. And so just checking to make sure all the connections are good grounds, making sure we don't have wires that are tied into other systems, and
Right.
I mean, just one thing after another. We put Dakota Digitals in this truck. We unplugged those. That didn't solve the problem. I mean, just everything we checked, no issues in them. So it's got to be the unit.
Yeah, I think so. And from what I was seeing online, people were saying that like when stuff like that happens, it's the ECU and it's got to go back.
Right.
You know, I was saying before, I'm having an issue with my car where my gas gauge wasn't reading, and coming out of the fuel pump module, it's a 4-pin connector. You get a chassis ground at the back of the car, a ground wire that has to go up to the battery, which is for the fuel pump, which I ran. And there's it's 2 grounds. Oh yeah, and then the blue wire that actually goes to the fuel pump to the relay, and the 4th wire is the tan wire, which ties into the original wire to the dash gauge. So I had checked the sending unit before I put it in, had 0 to 90 ohms, and I know my gas gauge worked prior. Put the thing together and splice my wires, and I have no fuel reading. So put more gas in the car to make sure, still no fuel reading. As I was cruising around the other day, I looked down and I had 3/4 of a tank of gas. I was like, okay, well, that's fixed itself. Maybe the car needed to drive a little and had to learn that it had gas in it. I don't know. But I took it out again today, and it showed empty tank again. So, like, what the hell's going on?
One of those.
How do you lose a reading off a rheostat? It's just a variable resistor. So I'll talk to Holly about that one of these days. I'll have to call him.
Right.
But yeah, so crazy, weird stuff.
It is.
I'm curious what the turnaround time is going to be for them to send you another unit. It should be, I mean, they should have one, as yours is going out to them, they should have another one already coming out to you. There shouldn't be an issue.
They should. I really think, though, when we're sending them in, they're tearing them apart, doing what they need to do, and send it back. We've got another one out right now that's been out for 4 to 6 weeks, maybe.
Oh,
wow.
My goodness.
See, that's unacceptable in this day and age because what they're doing is, if it's an ECU, the ECU is in one of those caps. They can literally swap that in and out, bench test it fast. They're set up to do that.
They probably can't find parts.
I wonder what it is. Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah,
because a friend of mine, he bought a new Toyota. One of my shop owners, he bought a new Toyota, and he was showing it to me the last week or whatever, the week before, and he was like, the strangest thing was they only had one key.
I've heard of that. I've heard of people getting jammed up.
And he said when they get a key, they'll send it to me when I get my other key. And I'm like, so what are you doing with one key? And he goes, hope I don't lose it.
I heard that story from somebody else up here. So yeah, I've heard that.
Is that because the keys are coded for the vehicle?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And there's chips and all kinds of secret voodoo stuff going on in that little fob of yours.
Yeah.
And that's why I love the Lincoln.
Yeah.
It's a key. It's one key. It looks like every other Ford key out there.
I have, you want to talk about driving yourself crazy or having an issue or a problem. I got a shop. They have a Tahoe. I think it's a Tahoe. And they put a Jasper engine in. Direct replacement type thing. Put the engine in. And I think, if I remember correctly, because it's been like several months now. Actually longer than that, almost quite a while. But the truck had start up on the initial first start, after putting the motor in, and then turned off and would not restart.
Oh, wow.
And of course, they went through everything and then they got to the point where it got really stupid because they're replacing like everything.
They fired the parts cannon at it.
Yeah, they were just firing every cannon at it. It's like, oh, well, we'll change this light bulb. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm talking, it's gotten that comical, whatever.
Probably not the cannon they wanted to fire at it.
No. So make a really long story short, another guy from another shop went to go look at the car, went to go look to see. And Tom was scratching his head and round and round and round, and he woke up at the middle of the night and said, man, we got to take the timing cover off and look inside, because this is, we've done everything and anything, but I guess on the reluctor wheel for the camshaft, they put a 6-cylinder one on and not a V8 one.
So why did it start the first time?
I don't know if it was because of it was, it had the memory of self run,
Oh,
it had the count of 18 teeth or whatever, and
yeah.
it fired, and then then once it made the revolution or so, it couldn't count anymore.
Couldn't
you know what I'm
verify
saying?
it, right?
So
Right.
it just shut off. You know.
Yeah.
And when I say run, I don't mean it was able to drive. It fired up. You know, it was the
It fired and fell on his face.
yeah,
Right.
and that was it. But so of course, then after all this time, it has been some time. Calling Jasper back and saying, "Hey, this is what we found." They're like, "Well, why did it take you so long?"
Right.
Why? They don't. Nobody wants to be responsible for this now.
Of course.
After
Because I shouldn't have to tear my new engine apart.
yeah, well,
Should be right.
yeah.
I was telling a friend about this. He was asking me about, how the tuning is going. I said, the thing that really makes me smile the most is I was cruising it the other day, and still it'll sometimes come down to idle and stall. Sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it does. And I'm convinced it's in the IAC setting somewhere. But anyway, regardless. So, you always get that little freaky moment because you look, there's someone behind you, and you don't want somebody rear-ending you because they want to go, and now you're stopped. And it's, I guess, so ingrained in my head of older cars with carburetors. That's usually when they never want to restart right away. It's like, or it floods a little bit, or you're like, oh, fuck, just start up. But now every time I just hit that key and it goes, boom, it just fires right back up. I'm like, oh, thank God. I love this.
One of the best things about those systems.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, that makes me smile every time. I said, I don't even mind that it stalled. I just love the fact that it restarted right away. You're not sitting there cranking it.
Done any of the IAC adjustments on it yet?
I did some, and I want to get in touch with Holly because, remember, I'm using 2 throttle bodies.
Right.
So just like adjusting dual quads, I've had conflicting information where one guy told me, like with the dual quad carburetors, he said, you always want to adjust the rear carburetors when you drive off of. So that's the one you just want to, make the idle screw touch and then back it off a little. And the front one, he said, should be closed. But I read other things that said, no, the front one should be the same amount of turns as the rear one. So I want to see what Holly says with the snipers. But I don't know if you heard the question I posed earlier. I was cruising I was doing like 70 miles an hour today. So I was on the highway, 70 miles an hour, 5th gear. And it was like 1700 RPM. I can do this with my, is it this stupid thing gonna? No, that isn't it. I wonder what the hell's causing the. That's not doing it either. Something. How many lights I got to turn on? Well, it ain't gonna work.
Huh.
It's just a glare off the phone. Now you can't see it. All right, I was like 1700. Oh, I see. It's in the picture because it was when I took the picture in the car. So I was doing like 70 miles an hour, 1700 RPM. Air fuel ratio is 14.3, which is phenomenal. That's like where you'd want it to be. But the timing was at 15 degrees. Granted, you don't need a lot of timing when you're just cruising. I'd set the cruise timing at 32, but now it was reading 15. TPS was only at 6%. That makes sense. And the IAC is at 10%. Now, what I had done was I had gone in and set, I saw a video that was talking about the IAC hold position, and which will, it's kind of like that, like a park position where the IAC will park itself at and just sit and wait. Because this way, when you come down to idle, it's already at that position and it'll help it transition down to idle, without stalling. I was curious why at 70 miles an hour at 1700 RPM, it was sitting at 10%. I thought it should be at 0. So these are things I got to talk to, I guess, one of the Holly guys about and just educate myself about. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, I want you two to tell me all the problems you have because I'm looking to get rid of the carburetor on my 84 Ford. It's a 4-barrel, and I bought what did I buy? One of the name brands, and I can't get anything to run right.
That's probably the Motorcraft 4100 on that car. In 80.
It was a
Yeah.
Motorcraft originally. It's somebody else now.
Oh, okay. And a lot of people slapping Edelbrock or Holly on those cars. You know.
They do, and I don't know. The trucks just being a pain in the neck.
In what way? What's it doing?
Well, for one thing, it doesn't like to start quickly, which I really dislike. I don't like grinding a starter.
Yeah.
And it's been flooding on me once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not careful when you start it,
Right. Sure.
But,
Well, it makes sense because the choke closes, and then
Yes.
you have a richer mixture. There's more fuel.
Yep.
With starting, I like a car to just fire. When I hit the key, I like it to just fire. I don't even want to hear a crank, and that's how I like it. And there's a few things involved. Carburation is certainly one. I mean, just general engine health. Valve adjustment, compression plays in, fuel pressure, fuel temperature. But assuming the motor's cold.
Yeah, I got a rebuilt engine that I put in there about 2-3 years ago, and we only have about 10,000 miles on that rebuild because we don't drive it like we used to.
Yeah.
Because we got another this motorhome thing that we did is our primary vehicle. We used to use the pickup truck to go to fair all the time. Now all we do is keep it around to haul loads.
Yeah.
Because I'll say one thing about that 460. It'll pull a tree.
Oh, those 460s are good engines. Yeah. Just will tell you that.
It just doesn't like to pass gas stations.
No.
Not even a bit.
Yeah.
But I'll take the bad gas mileage for the strength in that because...
Yeah, it's a trade-off.
Yes, it is. Currently, my daughter took a trailer with our little tractor on it up to Washington State to her boyfriend's place so he could do some work with it. And she drove it all the way up here, never complained about it.
Okay.
So I guess everything's running good.
Yeah.
I hope. Although I think she's gotten better about checking oil in that lately because first time she drove the truck before we got the engine repaired, she didn't check the oil. And when she got home, it was like low.
Oh, yeah.
And so, oh, well. But I'm going to wait on that throttle body until you guys have more fun with it.
I'll tell you this. It's pretty drama free. I mean, what I've learned and I think what everybody else will tell you is, when you install it, you really have to pay attention. It's the electrical side. I mean, the fuel obviously has to be done right too, but they want connections done at the battery, not spliced, I mean, I did mate my two ground wires, the ground wire from the fuel pump and the ground wire from the ignition box. I did mate them on one ring terminal, so it was one connection, but it's at the same point. A lot of guys talk about RFI interference too. They say they're getting RFI interference. I don't know. I'm hearing guys talk about it, but
not right now.
Nobody can really seem to prove it. So,
well, I had that one guy that came up that was having problems, and he had put that lead plate in front of his, behind the distributor, right on, it was close to it was a Ford, where the distributor's up front, and on the carburetor or the throttle body, into the ECU, and it was driving him crazy. And then he put that plate up there, and it took care of all his problems. Of course, we were talking about that. He might have also had a older style MSD.
Well, I learned that early on. That's like the kryptonite to these ECUs. Yeah, it's a dirty signal. It's not a true digital signal. It's a mixed analog digital signal, and it's a very dirty signal, and the ECU gets confused by it. I think that's why the guy that I got these from, why he had trouble, because he had an older MSD. But I got the opposite issue, Brian. I mean, my motor, it's a Pontiac, so my distributor's in the back, but because I have two throttle bodies, the TPS switch, not TPS, the IAC connector is almost touching the top of my ignition wires on my cap. That's how close it is. And then the coil's only a few inches over on the firewall. So, if anybody was going to have a problem, I would think I did, but I think maybe grounding is the issue. If things are grounded correctly.
That definitely helps.
Yeah. I mean, I watched one guy online on YouTube, and he used these ferrite cores, these like clamshell ferrite cores, and he put them on all of his wires and taped them up. And he claims that solved his problem with his runnability. Maybe it did. I don't know. No, that was a Ford. No, it was a Chrysler pickup, like a Ram, an older Ram truck.
That's like, back in the day when you get a car, and especially it was a Ford thing, where they would use the wooden laundry, clothespins, because it supposedly what was it, kept it from vapor lock. You put that on. They'd put that on the fuel line or whatever, and you see all these cars running around with a fucking wood clip,
We had a guy used to call the show. I wonder if he's still alive. He was an older guy. You could tell by his voice he was an older man. And in all sincerity, this guy believed it. He was telling us how he put magnets on his fuel lines. I mean, this has come up over the years. I think
that was a big thing a few years ago.
Yeah. I think it was a big thing a lot of years ago too. So he claimed he had a Dodge, a Diplomat with a 318, and he put magnets on his fuel line and claimed everything from better starting to better fuel economy. He put them on his lawnmower. He put them on everything. And the theory was, he says, by having the magnets on either side, the polarity is like fighting with each other, and it forces the molecules in the gas to go in the one direction. I'm like, well, they got to go in one direction because they got pressure behind them. So we obviously never really, we didn't call the guy a kook or a flake, but he would call regularly, all through the season and tell us how wonderful this was and how, we had to try it. And some guys, hey, I guess if you do something and you don't see a bad result, that's almost as good as seeing a good result,
Right.
So it's like I was going to play with the IAC adjustment again. I read something online where they said with the car idling and warmed up, turn the screw in a full turn. And that's going to make the idle come up, obviously, and the IAC is going to try and adjust itself. And then they say to bring it down like an eighth or a quarter of a turn at a time until you bring the IAC to within 2 to 5%. And then shut the car off. That actually resets the IAC, and then you should be good. I have not done that yet because it's running good enough now where I don't want to fuck with it. It's like I don't want to poke the bear,
And you're at the situation too where you're not just dealing with one.
Yeah, I will do it, but I don't know. Like I said, I don't want to make it worse and have to restart all over again. I don't know, but I'm loving the system. I really, I'm thrilled that I only had a slight minor gas leak in the back, and it was from a clamp with a screw, not from my Otica clamps. Easy fix, just tighten it up with a nut driver. I had one little coolant leak at the thermostat housing, no big deal. So seamless. Really seamless. It was, if you have any kind of modicum of mechanical ability, you can install this thing. You can do it. It's not hard. And I talked, like even Tyler said before, a lot of guys just let it learn. Just drive it and let it learn. Don't do anything. See, I'm not of that school. I want to let it learn, but I also want to tweak it and maybe, like smooth out those curves a little bit.
Yeah, you can let it learn and it'll get good, but you can tweak it and get it great.
I think so. Yeah, I believe that. Yes. So, yeah. But a lot of guys complain too. Have you had any of them that have that, what they call that, the whistle, the IAC whistle? you know,
Not too bad. Honestly, I've noticed it more on the Phytex.
okay.
The IAC was just really loud.
Now I heard guys saying the reason that is because they used a spacer, or if they had a dual plane intake, which most of us run dual plane intakes, and they claimed that was it. It was a dual plane, and they had to use a spacer. A guy was showing he used an open spacer, and he had to go buy a spacer that was segmented into four holes, and that stopped the problem. So here I am. I have a dual plane intake on the car, and I have 1-inch open spacers. And maybe at certain times I'll hear a little bit of a whistle, but it's not an annoying thing. And it's not a bad thing. It's certainly not, it doesn't overcome the sound of the car or anything. So I don't know. Maybe I got the outlier. I don't know. But I was curious about that too. How many guys have that?
The bottom of your carburetors, or are they like, are the butterflies on that like round like a Holly, or are they like a Rochester?
No, they're normal bore like a Holly.
Yeah.
And big like a 4150. They're not small. They're fairly large. I didn't measure them, but they got to be like, well, if I had to guess, I'd say maybe an inch. It could be an inch and 3/8, inch and 5/16. Pretty big.
Yeah.
Q-Jet, a primary on a Q-Jet is like just a touch over an inch, I guess. And the secondaries are like 2 and change. They're huge.
So I was just wondering, like, well, is there like there's nothing like a pre-adjustment for that? Like, like the airflow or the size for where the butterfly, because the butterflies aren't fully closed, right? When it's closed.
Not running, no. Not when it's running, no.
I just didn't know if, like when you come off your idle, when it cuts out or whatever, if there was any adjustment on your butterfly, on the butterflies.
Well, I guess the way you got to look at it is that, you got to remember it's being fuel injected. When you come off it, the injectors kind of, you kill they don't fully kill, but the ECU knocks out the fuel to the injectors because now you're in decel, so you don't need the fuel. So, that's how that's handled.
Because back in the day, we used to have a lot of problems, like on our throttle bodies. Everybody thought that was an idle screw adjustment. So
Right.
They would get in there and crank it, and what they're actually doing is moving the butterfly, and then the bottom, they would move the stop on the butterfly, and you would have all kinds of funny, like you say, car cutting out or a dead spot under acceleration or whatever.
Right.
And, it had like, I don't think it was 3 millimeter. I can't remember what it was. 30 thousandths or 0.3. I can't remember what the adjustment. Or you had to take the feeler gauge in there and set the. I just didn't know if something was out of whack or it was trying to compensate for something.
It should compensate by itself. I mean, I have no problem too with throttle response is great. It's right there from roll on, everything. The throttle response is right there, which is nice. Yeah, I really don't have any other complaints. It's just like I said, I want to get those little. I got to learn more about the parameters so I know what I'm seeing.
Percentage wise, how much would you say the responsiveness is better? Like on a 10% scale, on a 1 to 10.
My car was responsive before. It was responsive. I didn't have any bogs, lags. I did a lot of work on those carburetors. So when I hit the gas, it went. So I still have I have still a very good level of responsiveness. The thing that I am getting that I don't like, just to divert a little, is sometimes on a decel, I'm getting a little burbling. I'll hear a little bit of burbling and sometimes even a slight little feedback in the muffler. almost like when a car goes when it goes lean, you get a lean pop.
Yeah.
I had that with the carburetors too, by the way.
Mm.
So
Oh, you want to sound like you're shooting off going through the neighborhood, huh?
no, I don't want to do that. But that's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing it in the mufflers. I'm hearing those little pops in the mufflers on a hard D cell. So again, to me, that means it's going lean, which it would on D cell. It's going to go lean, but I know you can adjust the percentage. There's percentages you can adjust because you can modify that fuel curve. So we'll see as I keep driving it. We'll see what it does. Like the other thing I want to really look at is I think the coolant temperature should be lower. And the thing that I know that when timing is too far retarded, the engine will run a little hotter. Now,
where is your temp sensor located?
It's right in the intake manifold,
Okay.
next to the thermostat housing.
Okay.
That's the one I had welded in by. I had a guy weld one in for me. Yeah, I know that if you use one in the head, you can get problems if you use one in the cylinder head. And they said not to put it in the thermostat housing. I was going to do that because that would have been real easy, but no, I had it drilled and I had a bung welded in.
Right. Yeah, and I've seen issues too where guys put them in like on a small block Chevy or something in the water pump.
Oh yeah,
might have worked. And I've seen problems there too.
Right. And like I was saying before, I did go because I read about heard about the out of spec sensors. I went and bought a GM sensor, GM part number 213-928, and and as soon as you go to the handheld, you'll read. It's a cool temp sensor, but at that point it's an ambient temperature sensor because, it's just in. Well, it could be in a coolant, but that's at room temperature. And the Chinese one was reading like in the 80s when the temperature was in the 60s. I plugged this one in and it was reading 61 or 62 when the temperature was in the 60s. So I said, okay, Chinese sensor out. Get rid of that. And that was what Holly supplied. So when I got the stuff, I didn't see a sensor. So I ordered one through Holly and they sent it to me. Then I found the one that the original guy had. It was in the box with all the other miscellaneous parts. And now I got two of them. Actually, now I have three because I bought the Delco. And so Holly is supplying the Chinese sensors, which they're giving you something that's wrong, because they're cheaping out on their end. I mean, they charged me, I think, $16 or $18 for the Chinese one. I paid about $22 for the Delco. If they would have just spec'd the Delco part, they could have saved trouble. I have a list, Justin, of one of the guys I watched. He has I talked about this guy. He's got a 6-cylinder Mustang with a straight six Mustang with a sniper on it, and he has a 454 GMC pickup with a Phytech on it. So he's got one of each system, and he did a really good video. I'll send you the link. He did a really good video about what he liked and didn't like about each system because he had both. Very informative. The guy you can see, it's one of those guys where you look and see his workmanship. The level was there. The guy was, he's not a hack. But he said he was worried about if you need to replace a sensor, where was he going to get it? He was like, if I'm stuck, I got to call Holly. They're going to send out a truck. He said, so he put together a list of the comparable part numbers for the coolant temperature, the TPS, the IAC, and for the fuel pressure regulator on the back if you're using the return type system. And that's where I got that GM part number. Also, it's a TX3 in standard. So
they have different
years of that too.
Wait a minute.
Sorry. Can you send me a link to that too?
Sure. Yeah, I'll do that. What was that, Brian? You said something?
Do they have different years? Was there a different year where it was a different temperature sensor or anything like that? Or were those pretty much like from now to then?
I don't know. I don't even know what the range application for the sensor is. It's your typical, 1/8-inch pipe, 2-pin connector. It's the generic GM connector. So They probably used it in a pretty much a boatload of everything, you know.
I just didn't know if it was like take for instance the shop that had a problem with the 6-cylinder part on a V8. You know what I'm saying? I just didn't know.
Your guy, yeah.
I just didn't know if that sensor was okay. Well, if you have, I don't want to be like, let's say for this, if you're running a small block Chevy versus a big block, or however, a LS, I just didn't know if there was a different sensor, different way.
I don't think so. I mean, that's kind of an innocuous part, a temperature sensor. It's like a thermostat. It's like a thermostat pretty much. It's just measuring the temp of the coolant. So, it's pretty. I found out with the IAC, there's two different methodologies to the IAC, and one is a Chrysler dictum, and the other is GM. They do things a little different. So, I know there's a difference there, but. That was the thing, Justin. The big problem that I found out early on, I had that issue with the IAC swing where the car would be idling beautifully. IAC would be down at around 0 or 1-2%. And then the RPM would just come up to like 12, 1300, 1400. And the IAC reading would go to 80%. I was like, whoa. And then the idle would just drop. Like somebody pulled the plug. Boom, it would drop. And the IAC would go to 0, and then the car would be like, rah, buh. And then it would steady out again, and it would do that rhythmically almost. I'm like, what the hell is going on? So I was thinking about it that one night, and I said, it's air. I think it's an air issue. I think it's either that ECU is fucked. I was like, maybe I had a problem with it, but I don't think so. It's almost like it's an air issue. It was like gulping for air. So. And I said, this thing is either so out of whack with calibration or something's wrong. And then I started thinking about it. And I said, the PCV valve is a controlled vacuum leak. And I know on my motor, what I had done, Pontiacs have that stamped steel valley pan. It's a double layer. And the PCV valve goes into that. Well, I bought a valley pan from a place that does Pontiac stuff that's cast aluminum. So it's kind of cool. It's neat looking. You just don't see it. So I got that. But what they did and they do a lot of race car stuff. So I asked them, what are you doing about PCV provision? He goes, there's a boss in the back that we put in there, and you can just drill and tap it for like 1/4-inch pipe, and then you can adapt the PCV valve. I said, okay. And then when I got it and I was drilling and tapping, I'm like, well, now I need a threaded PCV valve. All the PCV valves I ever saw just fit into a grommet. They're not threaded. So I did a little research and I found one. I found a Toyota part that's a threaded. Actually, I remembered I had one in my parts stash. I had like a 65 or 66 Chevy 100 years ago, back in the 70s. And that had a PCV valve threaded into the base of the 2-barrel carburetor. So I said, okay, I know there's threaded PCVs. So I got this one, I think it was from a Toyota, but I don't know specs on it, opening pressures or anything. But I put that in the motor, and that's where I was running with the carburetors. So that's where I was running it here. And it's in the back. I put it right into the back of the throttle body. I said, if that PCV, let's say, is opening too fast, or if it's just, maybe it's closed and then all of a sudden it opens, maybe that's causing the IAC to say, too much air, rah! And it's so I disconnected it. I plugged the back of the throttle body. Done. It stopped. Then I took the vacuum. I have a vacuum gauge in the car, and there's a little 3/16 fitting on the back of the throttle body. I took that off of there and plugged it, and I put that right onto the intake manifold. I said, I'll pull and vacuum off this throttle body for anything. And now the car and that's where I am now. The car got much, much better. So I don't have that wild swing. I still have a little bit of like I said, it'll still stall occasionally. But now I think since I took that controlled vacuum leak away, I'll have to figure out how to rig it. I may rig the PCV maybe I'll do like what they did on GMs. Maybe I'll just run a tube up to like the base of the air cleaner. So it'll like incoming air into the throttle bodies will suck the PCV, and I don't know, I'll do something like that. But So I was happy to find out because I'm thinking in retrospect, man, if I called Holly, I'm talking to a tech and telling him about this wild sling, God knows what he's going to be telling me to do. And meanwhile, the PCV was the culprit.
Right.
I think about how that phone call could have been, how bad it could have been and how non-productive it would have been and how pissed off I would have been. So, I don't know. That's hot,
Well,
Rod.
guys, I got to get out of here, so I'll see you all later.
All right, Papa Squirrel.
See if
Take care, Papa
All
Squirrel.
right, Papa, see you next week. I won't see you next week. See you in 2 weeks.
I don't know.
Well, hopefully. Well, I hope so.
I don't think he was talking to us. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
good question.
Yeah, we don't know. He said he don't know. We don't know.
Who knows?
Who knows?
I don't know. So, I was we're heading off down to North Carolina again on next. Where are we going? Wednesday morning. So I was going to take my wife's car. I was going to take the cruise. It's been running good. Everything's been fine. And Saturday, was it last Saturday? Yeah, I'm here working. I had the car out. Where'd Justin go?
Where'd Justin go?
He
What the
found
heck?
Papa Squirrel. Wait till he comes back and I'll.
He didn't even tell us he didn't know.
Yeah, I know.
You mentioned Chevy Cruze and he just screw that. He got off.
Yeah. Oh, I see. Dennis was posting stuff. Yeah. He's talking about a car show. He's talking about a car show in
Pumpkin Run.
Right. Facebook page. Wait. Check out our show. PNR Facebook page. Fasties. Tell what you think. Best in town. Okay. Cincinnati. Okay, he's from Cincinnati. Okay. Pumpkin Run Car Show, 25 years. So what's his website? Did he say? No, I don't see his website.
He said check out our show pin on our Facebook page.
Yeah, but what's his Facebook page?
Fasteagues.
Yeah, maybe that's it.
Fasteagues.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
His best in.
Interesting.
And
Keith
then he
Gill
was
sent me
asking-
an email during the week. Brian, maybe you would know. He was asking me if I had access to all data, and I don't. He's got a 2014 Honda Odyssey, and the engine cooling fan isn't coming on. He says he jumped the fan connector with power, and it comes on. So he thinks it's either a relay or something that controls it, and the fuse is good. So he's looking for a diagnostics chart or a wiring diagram. He said, a long time ago, I rigged the AC fan to come on with ignition because it wouldn't come on like normal. All right, so that maybe his relay was bad then.
Yeah.
I mean, what I told him was, in a case like that, what I like to see is I like to have a scanner with bidirectional control.
Yeah.
And be able to command it on, command it off.
Yeah.
And if it's not, if it's not.
Some of those.
Where'd you go, Justin?
I hit the wrong button. I had to get up real quick and I hit the wrong button.
That's great. Okay. I'm sorry, Brian.
No problem.
You didn't even tell us you knew.
Some of them have like they have a portion of the fuse box goes bad. And there's actually a bypass wiring because there's no fuse. You can't get a fuse box part wise now. So they actually made a workaround where you disconnect the pin connectors and reconnect a wire. You just bypass where it runs through the fuse box.
I know on the Dodges that was something. So I was working on a Dodge minivan.
Yep.
And I actually got a hold of Joe, and he told me, "Oh yeah, it's the TPMS." It was like a 4-letter acronym and it was basically that control board that's next to the.
And actually, being a Honda Odyssey, there's actually a recall on that or a TSB on that from the dealership. And it was actually, if I can remember this correctly, it was a connection off the back of the alternator going to the fuse box. There was something really crazy because I took my mom's car over to the our Honda dealership in my area,
Right.
because have it checked because there was a problem. There was a TSB on that.
Okay. Yeah, good to know.
That's like my daughter's Toyota on the Camry.
Yeah.
This right here, and this bolts into the fuse box, right?
Yeah.
And you can't see any of they run on the blower motor off of this.
Are those like?
They're like
fuses?
it's
Looks
like a
fuses.
it's like little fuses inside there.
Yeah, it looks like fuses. Sure.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
But all it has a battery. The battery cable bolts to this.
Right.
This plugs down inside, and this is all you see from the top.
Yeah.
You have no idea what this is.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
that sucks.
Yeah.
And
The
this
idea is
the-
cool if you can see what's going on, but
Yeah.
not
and
being
the
able to
funny
see it,
thing
that sucks.
is, out of all this, they only use one. They only use this connector right here for the blower motor.
Oh, that's good. I mean, I was hoping he would have been here tonight. 'Cause I was going to tell him, like, I have that set of Lyle relay testers, the relay test blocks, which are great. What that does is you pull the relay out, you put the block into the socket, and you put the relay into the block. And what it gives you is terminals that you can now put a meter on.
Right.
Instead of having to lift the relay and sneak it in. So you can check for power, ground, you can check for source, you can check for,
You don't
load.
mess the fuse box up trying to stick stuff in there.
Yeah.
Or doing like we used to do in the old day where you pulled the relay up a little bit. And
That's what I'm
try to
saying.
keep
When you
a
pull it up and
connection.
try and snake into the
And-
side.
or
Right.
you have the you have 4 of these laying around, paper clips all over the
even
place.
better. I got they fell over on me. So I don't know where the hell they went. I had some in here. Oh, here they are. No,
Yep.
no, it's just a freaking cork. I have them stuck in a cork, but
Bobby pins?
no, T-pins.
T-pins, yeah.
Yeah, I got them everywhere. I got them here. I got them out. I keep them in my meter case. Those T-pins are great because you can really actually grab onto the T part with an alligator clip.
Yep.
So
Yeah, but there was something crazy. I wish I had known earlier because I was at the Honda dealership today.
Oh wow!
And like I said, I know they had because I actually took my mom's. She has an Odyssey, and it was something crazy like connection off the back of the alternator. I guess it was losing voltage or something.
Yeah, like I said, I know the Dodges were famous for that because this one that I was working on, the guy's gas gauge wasn't working.
Yeah.
So I checked with Joey. He goes, "Yeah, it's probably that block, next."
It's
to the
like
fuse."
one section of the fuse box goes dead.
Right. And I found out he had already had that changed once already. So I'm telling him this, and guy that owns the shop is there. I said, "Listen, I'm getting it from good authority that it's this board in the fuse box. It's not, they wanted me to change the whole fuel pump module, drop the tank into." I said, "I don't think that's what it is." But of course, they bought the fuel pump module and all and said, "Well, while we got it up, why don't you just do it?" I'm like, "All right." So I dropped the tank, changed the fuel pump module, did all of that, turned the key on, no gas gauge. I was like, "Nope." I said, "That ain't it, guys." I said, "Now you got a fuel pump module. It's in the gas, so you can't take it out and send it back. You bought that one, and you still got the problem. Do you want to get the board?" And they didn't want to go for the. No, it was done once. It was a lot of money. It was expensive. I said, "Okay, well, live without the gas gauge." I want to tell why. I want to know why my gas gauge isn't working. That's the mystery.
I found that Facebook page that
oh good
Fasteeks. I don't know
Okay.
if that's showing through. That Dennis put on there.
FASTIQUES. Your phone went out.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then if you scroll just down, there's the pumpkin run.
Oh, Pumpkin Run. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Thank you, Dennis.
Good. Very good.
Ah, there we go.
So what's planned for Father's Day?
I don't
Anything?
know. I
We
don't
don't
know.
know. We're not privy to that.
Yeah, I don't know. I had a. It was kind of funny. I was, my birthday was last week, and
Right.
I was told to be ready and in the car at 3:00. And I'm like, okay, this is like, does this mean they're going to take me for a ride and just drop me off someplace?
Well, if you start seeing cornfields passing by, start getting very worried.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because back in the day, it was always funny because, my dad did a lot of walk, would go for a walk, and it would be funny because, mom would come back and I was like, well, where's dad? And he goes, he just told me to keep driving, and I just dropped him off someplace and he would walk back,
Oh,
and
wow.
she would just take him out all over the place, and he would walk back, that was his thing. So, but the funny part was, so like we're all sitting around and everybody gets up, and I came downstairs to get something, came down, in the office here, and I walk back up and like everybody's gone. I mean, everybody's outside, and I'm like walking around the house, like, what happened to everybody? And of course, then the wife comes back in and she says, you're supposed to be in the car at 3:30. Okay, I'm coming. So we had gone over to Molly's, that's my middle one, to her place, and her boyfriend had fixed chicken parmesan, so that was
He
my
took care of you.
Yeah, it was really
Buttoning up
good.
the old man, huh?
Yeah, it's one of my favorites. So it was really good. So
There's a couple Italian places here that make like these combo platters. It's like chicken parm, eggplant rollatini, and maybe like ravioli, or they'll give you maybe what else? It's like it's like a plate full of food, man. It's like, geez, I can get like 3 meals out of it, but
yeah,
good stuff.
It was funny. I had to really kind of watch myself because I was ready to go, go in from what. I mean, I got it. I mean, it was a pretty big piece. I mean, it was no slacking on anything. So,
right.
And the salad was really good too. It was arugula with strawberries and goat cheese.
Look at Brian.
And
you're
what's
in
that
California
vinegar?
for
What's the
eating that
vinegar?
stuff.
How you say that?
Balsamic vinegar.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. That's the one. Yeah.
That one.
That's close enough. Huh? What was that?
I said
Balsamic vinegar.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I'll
We
mess
say
that
it
all
different
up.
in New York. That's don't pay attention to me.
Don't pay attention.
Yeah,
So,
we'll
but it was really, I mean, like I said, it was really good. I mean, like I said, I told Ray the only thing it was missing was a good chunk of garlic bread.
I'm surprised. I mean, that's a go-to with Italian food is garlic
Yeah.
bread, man. I mean,
Well, we were watching our carbs. Come
Oh,
on, Ray.
sure.
I mean,
You know what?
I
Yeah.
gotta still keep this sexy body going on here. So I was watching the carbs.
you should have put a couple of hollies on the table and said, "Okay, I'm
Yeah.
watching those carbs."
As we're eating these ones.
Yeah, I mean, I even, I was watching the carbs.
Yeah.
So that reminds me. So of course, where we're getting at. So I still have a little bit of of my red velvet cake. So I think I'm going to finish that up tonight. So
Sounds good.
yesterday was Brianna's birthday.
Okay.
So and I think you just had. I mean, your Jenny just had one, right?
Yeah, hers was just on the 4th, and then Lauren's is the 20th. So like we're gonna celebrate both of them when we go down there. They'll do we'll do their birthday thing.
Because I think I saw her post or whatever, and I didn't realize she was a she's a Gemini too, huh?
They're both Geminis, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
As a take it from a Gemini, that's tough.
I know. And they're very much alike in a lot of ways, but you know how kids are. They're also very different in certain ways. They both have a very good autistic gene, which is nice. I like seeing that. I think Jenny maybe surpasses even Lauren, but Lauren has some good. She definitely has some talent. Lauren somehow she has a recessive gene because she's like the liberal one. You know, she's more like there's like a dent in her head. I think I must have actually. You know what it was when she was a baby? I was holding her,
and
I
dropped
remember
her.
No. I was talking on the phone, and I had the phone cradled under my chin, and the phone fell and it hit her right on the head. You know, like she just kind of rolled it. But I always said, "Yeah, you didn't get dropped. You had a phone dropped on your head." So she's got the liberal bent, and Jenny is more just like stone cold conservative. So like, at least one of them came out right.
Yeah, they. Well, that's what drives my wife crazy because Brianna being a Gemini and with me being, I mean, we have that Wonder Twin power thing. We can almost finish conversation. We don't even need to talk anymore. We just kind of like, it's like that one episode of Star Trek, you know, when we're just buzzing back and forth to each other.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's funny. That's funny.
So yeah, I dropped Brianna when she was little.
Oh yeah,
I dropped her pretty good. She was running on the couch. We used to have this couch that was like 8 feet long. So she would get a run and dive, and I would catch her as she was like flying by me.
Yeah.
And this one time she went and she kept going.
Yeah,
the one she didn't fly too well when she hit the ground. So
it's kind of funny because with like with the kids, when Laura was born, I tell the story. My wife, she thinks I'm full of shit, but I said, no, I'm not. I engineered the birth of the second one. I'm like, because after we had the first one, I saw, okay, she was born in June, like later in June. So it was nice. Birthday parties could be outside.
Yeah.
Or, you know, you didn't have to, and her friends, you know, now you're taking the kids to other kids' birthday parties in like February and March. Everything had to be inside somewhere. If it was at the house, it was getting trashed, or you had to go to Chuck E. Cheese or some other dopey place, and you couldn't go outside. I'm like, man, the June, the summer birthday is nice. You can go inside or outside. It doesn't matter. So when we were trying for the second one, it's like I counted the months. And I said, okay, so I did the math. I said, I know when you got to get knocked up.
Yeah.
And, so she swears like you did not. I'm like, oh yes, I did.
That's what Molly hated because Molly's February.
Yeah.
And she would always be pissed off because she couldn't have a pool party. She couldn't have this or whatever. Or it never failed that we would like, you know, have a party for her at some place, and we would get, you know, a blizzard or 12 inches of snow or ice or, you know, and it threw everything out of the window, you know.
Right.
And I remember she'd say, I'm changing, my birthday is now in June or whatever, or July or whatever, you know, she would pick a. So
it was pretty funny because Lauren's best friend lived across the street and her birthday was February. So and then we had another really good friend whose kid's birthday was, I don't remember what month, but again, it was a colder month. Yeah. And that's what made me start thinking like, well, that sucks.
Yeah,
that really sucks. So you know what, we gotta make sure the next one is like, you know, not in that season. So I said, hey, look, women get headaches and they get, you know, leave me alone days. I'm like, so why can't the guy, you know?
Yeah.
I proved it works. Like, you know, don't always work. So hey, just genetically engineered it.
Yeah,
mine is on Valentine's Day. So
in February. Okay, there you go.
That's a pain in the ass because I usually don't celebrate for my birthday until like either we do it a couple days before or after, so that we don't have to deal with the crowds trying to go to a restaurant or
Right,
Yeah.
right.
the price is jacked up for that week. So
Yeah, I mean, Molly's was, a lot of times it happened on Super Bowl weekend.
Oh yeah.
So we would plan. Of course, not being huge football fanatics, we would plan something, and we'd try to go out to some place and be like, "What the f is going on?" Why? And then you realize it's Super Bowl weekend or
Right.
whatever, and go through that whole mess. But so we got Brianna's dinner this weekend. That's really about it, and Father's Day if I can figure out, but that type of thing.
it's my wife's birthday. Hers falls
There
on
you go.
hers falls on Father's Day, so
Really?
she's always been frustrated with that. But this year,
Tell her, well, not as frustrated as me.
yeah, I told I've told her, is there anything specific she wants? My kids will bring me something here or there throughout the day, and I'm like, let's make it about you. But I know my daughter will do. My daughter's really good at finding good, meaningful but comical cards. One year she got me a card that says, "Dad, I love you. Sometimes I want to hug you, and sometimes I just want to kick you in the face." Or no, karate kick you in the face.
Yeah.
And I mean, it just perfectly matched her attitude. It matched how I sometimes I'll mess with her and tease with her and get under her skin. So every year she either for my birthday or Father's Day, she's really good at picking just the right card.
Yeah, since my kids are artistes, they always make me cards. I get them handmade, and I have some of them displayed. I've hung them on the wall. They're so nice. It's like, shit, man, this is great.
My daughter is when she wants to be, but she usually doesn't want to be. In fact, she got a tattoo gun, and I'm like, when are you going to hook me up with my tattoo?
Really?
Yeah. So
you're going to be the first one?
I told her I'd be the first one. I said, she actually gave herself one. She showed me, and I was like, well, I'm still waiting on mine. Come on.
Wow.
So
That's a tough proposition.
we were actually talking about it today because something came in, and I said, I thought it was another tattoo gun or something, and you got some deluxe item with it. It was heavy. And she goes, Dad, I got one already. Why do I need another? I said, I don't know. Maybe with another one, you'd finally tattoo my arm.
Well, a lot of artists do have multiple. Hey, look, guys don't have one ratchet, right?
True.
So, yeah.
Thank God.
Thank God.
The one I want her to do for me is pretty simple, and for a practice one, it's not that bad. It's a symbol. It's a symbol that my dad put together for his. He made his own brand since my mom's family used to have a ranch, and my uncle and all them had their own brands.
Okay, well, that should be pretty easy, yeah.
So, and that way it's something simple for her to practice, try it.
You know what would be cool? Now, what would be cool, see, when you said that, what I pictured is the next level.
Mm-hmm.
Picture the brand, out of iron on the rod.
Mm-hmm.
The tattoo would be that, look like it's being pulled away from the skin. So you'd see the actual brand in the shadow with a little bit of wispy smoke and the rod being pulled away.
Yeah,
that'd be cool.
That would be cool.
That's like when they do when they have the shredded metal and the the hands are coming out of it or or something. That's cool. That's good.
Yeah, I've got a handful that I want to get. I've got two, but I've got a handful over the years I've wanted to get, and I've just family needs have come first, so I've put them aside.
Yeah.
Sure.
But sure.
And here my daughter's over there getting almost sleeved up, and I'm like,
really?
Come on, man. I'm like, now you got a gun. Now I can get it at a discount rate. I'll even give you a few bucks. Come on, man.
Throw you a few bucks for ink.
Yeah.
I'll grow the plants and we'll make the ink ourselves.
Yeah.
India ink or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Man. Yeah. Brian, talk to me about Mustang World
Mustang World, where?
in your house.
Yours.
Oh. Haven't done much.
I know.
Unfortunately.
That's okay, but what have you been thinking? You gotta be. I know you're thinking about it all the time. So what are you thinking?
I'm thinking.
We just got to keep this conversation rolling because
yeah.
you can't let something die in the vine here.
Well, no, actually, I mean, really, I got. I mean, I got burned pretty bad, and I've had to put all that extra money, that extra cash type stuff has been put on hold a little bit, which kind of slowed down the Audi thing. It really pissed me off because I'm at the point where I believe it or not, I trying to find a battery so I don't have to, because I blew one of my battery chargers up trying to run on it, leaving it, running on it. And I got a new battery charger and I don't want to try to leave it running on the car.
What all the shops you go to, you can't find a battery laying around holding the door open somewhere?
Well, the stupid part of it is on the Audi. Actually, you're right. I should be able to put any battery in there. But the batteries on those are like the ones that used to go back in the Beetle because they sit the hood. If I close the hood, if I forget to take the battery out and I close the hood, then you have a problem. It shorts out on the hood, Yeah,
it's a shorter battery. Yeah. And
you're absolutely right. I shouldn't use that excuse. I should just say, hey, anybody got a battery here that's halfway, Yeah. And I can put it in and out every time. That's really and really I like to find I like to find a place to clean out my gas tank.
You were talking about that. Yeah.
I got it halfway out.
I got a guy up here, but he's up here.
And I asked and everybody looks at me because I know I used to have a shop in my area that did that and they're out of business. I mean, they're gone.
I remember one of the homegrown remedies for that was like muriatic acid and water. You cut it and then, at least it'll neutralize. I mean, but if you got a lot of heavy rust, that's the problem.
Yeah. The biggest problem with this gas tank is that it's like mounted. It's mounted like in a pickup truck. It's in between the back seat and the trunk. So it's what is that, vertical, not horizontal?
Right.
Vertical. Yeah. And it has a built-in sump, where the gas would go down to the lowest spot. But it doesn't have a filter. It has a wire mesh screening. And that runs about so long in there. And that's the problem. They said you can get a tank clean, but that wire mesh screen has to be removed. Right. Because you can't clean this because it's like inside of a PCV valve.
Yeah.
It's got that wire. It's like steel wool.
Well, so the good thing is any of the rust from the top of the tank should be laying on top of that.
Yeah, but it gets all tangled in that, and then it clogs when it's like the
you're probably better off taking that out and then using just a good filter.
Right.
strategy.
Well, that's so a lot of guys I've watched where they say, "Oh, you just cut the tank, cut a hole in the side of the tank, reach in there, rip it out, and weld the thing back up." And part of me is like, I'm crazy enough to do that, but then part of me is like,
not that crazy.
Yeah, well, I don't want to. I mean, I kind of trust myself. Well, but I just want. I don't want a sealed tank. I don't want to have a problem.
So, you fill it with water. So you know what? You just segued into my next question perfectly. And that question is something you said to me just the other night. how you put your old welder into the store in storage, and what is so bad with this new welder that you don't want to use it?
It's not actually. It's really nice. I mean, it's just the comfortability of my old welder.
So why don't you just keep the old welder, and why'd you get a new one?
Because actually, my speed control on my old one's messed up.
Okay.
The knob, the knob is like, it's kind of really finicky, and if you try to lay a bead down, if you're really welding along, it gets kind of funny with laying the wire. And I usually just do it more for just tacking stuff together. Or
Well, yeah,
small bits.
that's what most of us do is we tack it
Yeah.
and fill in.
Can you
So-
rebuild the speed knob?
Huh?
Can you rebuild the speed knob?
Well, unfortunately, it's a 35-year-old welder, and there's no
Hmm.
parts really around for it anymore. So I was kind of mad, or not mad. I mean, when I went to my convention or my expo, and I talked to the guy about welders, he said, you really need to buy this one because it did TIG. It was a TIG and a MIG. And I said, well, I don't know how to TIG really, and I don't think I'll ever do that. And of course, I buy the other welder, and literally 2 weeks later, I walked into a shop, and the guy goes, hey, you want to learn how to MIG? You want to learn how to TIG weld? Stop by on Friday mornings, and so I started TIG welding. The guy was showing me how to TIG weld, and I was like, he goes, yeah, get a TIG welder and keep practicing. You're doing good, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I wish I bought the TIG welder now. So now I'm thinking, well, maybe next year, maybe I'll buy a new MIG, a TIG.
So what's the new one that you bought? Which welder is that?
I have to look it up. I can't remember the name.
brand?
I mean, the brand. I can't. Huh?
Which brand of welder? Who's
It's a
welder?
Matco one.
And the old one is the Snap-on welder, right?
Yeah, the old one's the old Snap-on. It's like the one with. I think your brother had the same one. It was
That's
the
one I
one
have
that,
now. It's the AMW 1000.
it's the one that's like on a console. I mean, it's it's on it has a base, and it has like this. The thing came up, and it's like a box sticking out, right?
Yeah, I'll see if I can. Let me see if I can find a picture of it. Yeah, I think it's AMW 1000. Let's see, tools. Let's look under Snap-on tools, welder. Doing.
I've done the coat hanger thing. Actually, you got to be careful. The coat hangers today are really bad metal. You don't want to breathe any of that stuff. Actually, the
probably
guys
all
that
from
do
China.
exhaust work and they take the coat hangers say the new coat hangers really suck.
This is it, Brian.
Yeah, mine's not that old, but that's that style.
This is the side. This is with the side panel open.
Yeah, that mine's the one after that.
And sold by Snap-on, made in Denmark, of all places.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah,
AMW.
mine's
mean,
very
you got,
similar to that. It's just
you got power level 1 to 4 and wire speed, and that's it.
Yeah. Mine's the one after that one. That one was a little earlier.
Yeah.
And
yeah, the reason I sent you that picture the other night is because Mike sent me the posting. He's putting together another shop upstate. It's going to be another body shop, and he's buying equipment. So he's finding guys left and right on Facebook, Marketplace, whatever. I think he bought a
I found a pipe bender,
Uh-huh.
$500
Wow.
with everything, dude. I'm trying so hard not to. I mean,
Well, listen, the way I look at it is, unless you're going to be building chassis or roll cages, you don't need a pipe bender.
Yeah, but for that price, though,
But get that out of your head. That $500 could be buying Mustang parts,
I know.
and you don't have it for that.
Absolutely.
Well, you don't have it for that, so you don't have it for the pipe bender.
I know.
Think of
I
it that
know.
way.
What did
A
you
little
need the
bit of
pipe bender
clarity.
for?
Huh? What?
What did you need the
Oh,
pipe bender for?
Just because.
Just because man, I'd put that out there, and I'd. Be
I mean, I
bending
get
pipes.
that. Trust me, I get the just because. I just didn't see. I was looking up something on my phone, and I missed it. If I missed something, that there was something specific you were bending.
Oh no, I mean,
I get the just because. I'd walk around bending. I'd probably start pulling my neighbor's fence post out and bend them and stick them back.
I mean, no, I mean, I get people. I mean, like I said, I do a lot of little odds and end things every once in a while. I would crank that up, man. I would find somebody to bend some pipe.
So the story I started telling before, which is going to tie into another tool story. Linda and Jenny, they come home, and I got the car out of the garage, so they can know, like, when they come home, if the gate's open and there's no car there, they park in the street so I can pull in. But I had the car out in the driveway. I was playing with it, so they didn't know if I was going to come leave again or not. So they pull in, and they're like waving at me. So I wave back. I'm like, no, they're waving. I'm like, so I walk down the driveway to the car, and I'm going to tell them, listen, you can leave it there. I'm not going out again. I'll shut the gate. But they were like waving like a little more frantically, and I see this like steam coming out from under the hood of the car, and I'm like, "Ooh, that's not right." So that's what they were waving for, and they said, it's leaking." I'm like, shut it off, and pop the hood. So I open the hood, and I see, coolant is flashing back and all, and I grab the upper radiator hose, and as I just move it a little, water starts streaming out. I'm like, okay, shut it off. I said, this thing's got to sit. I'll look at it tomorrow because it's got to cool off. And, Chevy in their wisdom used another plastic part. It's that freaking cooling neck off the head. It takes one of the heater hoses goes into it, the recovery tank goes into it, and the upper radiator hose goes into it. So, of course, that was Friday it happened. So I'm looking at it Saturday morning. I'm like, all right, when am I going to get a dealer part on Saturday morning? Like, which dealer am I going to break into?
Yeah, exactly.
So I happened to go to the auto parts store by me, which is really good. And just on a whim, I said, hey, listen, would you guys happen to have one of these? And they got me a Dorman part. And I'm not a big Dorman fan these days, but I said, okay, I'll take it. It's Saturday. I got to get this car fixed.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, give me an upper radiator hose too. I'll change that while I'm there because we're going to take this car to North Carolina next week. So you might have heard this story. I told it on the show already. To get the upper hose doesn't go into like the top of the tank like a normal car. It goes down in like the bottom of the tank on the side, and it's got the spring clamps on it. So I can barely see the clamp, let alone get at it. And I have the handheld pliers, and I have a pair with the cable, and I can't get on it. So I get under the car, and I'm looking, okay, well, there's a turbo air hose there. I move that out of the way as best I can. There's tranny lines right there. There's another piece of the body right there. It's like, you ever see one of those things like where somebody puts something together, and then by the time other assemblies went together in that thing, you can't get to the first thing anymore because you weren't the first guy. Well, that's where I was. I couldn't get this clamp. I couldn't get the pliers on it to change this hose. So I said, you know what? I got to leave. I'm defeated. I got to leave the original hose on. I can't change it. I wanted to, but I can't. So today I was at my buddy's shop. I had to get an inspection on the Fiat. I'm telling him the story. He says, oh, we got to use the pliers. I'm like, I got the freaking pliers. He goes, no, you need these. He goes, the ones with the cable, they always have the sliding thing. I'm like, well, yeah, that's what grabs it. He goes, no, you need the ones without that. So he takes me over to his toolbox and he shows me a pair of the cable pliers. And it just had two blocks that moved. It wasn't the sliding rail.
Mhm.
They're probably Snap-on pliers because I know that's mainly what he buys. But I actually didn't ask him. He says, "Hey, you want to borrow these? You want to take?" I'm like, "No, you know what? Fuck it." I said, "I'm leaving the hose on. It's done." I said, "I'm done with it." But the question is, do you know whose pliers those are, and have you used them?
Well, I think because we have a heavy duty pair. Was the cable? It wasn't a cable. It was more like a flexible.
You know, I didn't really. It's a cable.
I
And
don't know where my. I don't know what. Actually, I was going to look. I
Let
don't
me
know where
see.
my catalog went.
I'll tell you what. On my Matco list, I do have a pair of those pliers listed.
I thought you got some from me. I thought you.
No. Hey, Brian, it's on the list. It's on.
Oh,
This was the list that you had. I just made a list for myself. It's on there. I think they were on special at one point, and I said, "Yeah, I want those."
Well, he's looking. This Dennis says his 66 Chevy stopped running on I-75, got back in an hour, and my 350 was gone. They took your motor?
Wow.
Who said that?
Dennis in the chats, in the comments.
Okay, again, I'm full screen again, so I can't see it. I'll have to look.
Yeah, he also mentioned
Yeah, back in the day at Midas, working welding with
Midas,
coat
you learned to
hangers.
weld with coat hangers.
Okay, yeah, right. That's when, yeah, when you were doing gas welding, yeah.
Yeah, that was the.
With a torch, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
gas welding, yeah.
Oxyacetylene.
Yes. Hose clamp, hose pliers. 289,607. That's them. Okay, all the Matco ones have the sliding bar. Yeah, I see the ones you're talking about, Brian. HCP Flex. That one.
Yeah, that.
But all these use the sliding bar. He had one instead of that bar. It was two blocks that would close with the cable. It was probably a Snap-on pair. Like I said, I know
Well,
both his stuff is Snap-on.
that comp. I mean, there's only Mayhew, Astro, and there's one other company. They make it for everybody.
Okay.
I mean,
yeah, I've never seen that before. You know, that's first.
Unless it was supposed to be, there was it was actually a body tool for the clips. Unless he's using that, because that one I think had a little different end on it.
Yeah.
But did you? So you said that was a car that you were going to take. Are you taking something different now?
Yeah, we rented a car.
Oh, really?
I was gonna, I said to her, I said, really, the other car we have that's the most reliable, the FJ would be great,
right?
Because I got storage. It just, it doesn't get the same gas mileage,
right?
So I mean, over the whole trip, I mean, how much more is it going to cost, really? I mean, that thing gets like 20 miles to the gallon on the highway, and the cruise would probably get closer to 30. So 10 miles to the gallon. Let's see, for 700 miles.
Yeah, well, you also got to look at it this way: the mileage put on the car. I mean, how many miles are on the cruise?
The cruise has 70,000.
Oh.
The FJ's got 136. I mean, I don't even really worry about that because that, it's highway miles. You're on a trip, it's highway miles. Those are good mileage. Those are good mileage.
Yeah.
Well,
those Toyotas, as far as the FJ, I mean, I'm sure it doesn't get that great a gas mileage compared to the Cruise, but those
No. Well, that's what I was saying. The FJ around town combination driving, I get like 16, which is good.
yeah.
Because other guys were saying they don't get near that. And on the one time I did take a trip, I went upstate, so I did a lot of highway driving. I got like 20. So
In
that's
the-
probably
in
what
the
I'll get on
FJ?
the highway is like 20.
In the FJ?
In the FJ, yeah.
Oh,
But yeah, those Toyotas, I mean, they're 100,000 or 100 and whatnot thousand miles. That's good miles. That's early miles.
Yeah, yeah.
My daughter's 4Runner has got like 400,000 miles, and about a year, 2 years ago, God, the time's flying by so fast. I think it was about 2 years ago. We had to take it in because the transfer case started leaking.
Oh yeah.
And I was gonna go see if I could grab it. There was a 4Runner that had showed up into the junkyard, and I was gonna go see if I could grab the transfer case off of it, swap it out temporarily while I change the seals.
Yeah.
And come to find out, hers has the all-wheel drive transfer case. It's 4-wheel drive, but it's got the all-wheel drive setup. So I couldn't swap in just any old transfer case. So I took it to a shop. I told her, I said, I can't do this in a day or so that you need it. It's going to take me almost a week. And anyways, we took it in, and I told the guy, I said, look, I just want the seals redone. I said, we haven't had any slipping. We haven't had any issues. It just started dripping out, and I got underneath it. It's the seals.
Right.
It's the case seals. And I said, go ahead and just change all the seals on it. Anyways, I said, if you see something, let me know. But at this point, that's all we want. And they were pretty good. Anyways, the guy told me, he said when they had it apart, that his mechanic, his shop guy, came in and said, I cannot believe with this many miles how immaculate that whole gear set and everything in that transfer case looks. That thing is like brand new.
Nice.
So, and everything, I mean, it runs nice. It runs, we've not had a problem with it. I changed the timing belt. I think it's been 2 years now. I changed the timing belt. I need to change the valve cover gaskets. That's a area that's common with those. But it's got, I don't know how your FJ is, but this has the intake plenum that folds over on the one side,
right?
Kind of like the Ford 5.0s used to.
Yeah, yeah.
And you've got to take that off, and so I haven't. That's not too big of a job, but I just haven't pulled it.
The FJ is a port injection with a throttle body.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little more like a V8.
Okay.
But yeah. So I don't know.
But yeah, it's run great.
So you're leaving Wednesday?
Yeah. Wednesday morning.
Are you driving this down 95?
No.
You going 81?
Yeah. Taking 78 to 81.
Yeah.
Yeah, because 95, that's that mess in Philly that's still going on, that road that collapsed.
Yeah.
I mean, that was actually, I think, the northbound side, so that wouldn't. I'm just tired. I don't know, tired of 95. And then you got Washington to deal with. That's always sucky. So
yeah, so
go the other. We'll come around the other side of you.
Yeah, that's not as close.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's on the 22nd Wednesday. Yeah. I mean, 21st.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we're going to try and go straight through. We're going to try and just make it all the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, staying in Virginia, you're losing another day, and we're not going to be there for a long time this time. So I want to maximize. And we got a lot to do. Like I said, the girls are doing a lot of stuff. We got to meet with the real estate woman that we've been talking to. I got to do stuff, with the house for her. So it's going to be just like bing, bang, boom,
Yeah.
So, maximize.
That's right. You said you've got to replace those bolts or add bolts that weren't in the table in the.
Yeah, those were the ones that the aunt gave him the table, but then lost all the bolts except for one.
Yeah.
And the problem was the bolts are, like 4 inches long and fully threaded, and usually around after 2.5 inches they go to a shoulder bolt.
Yeah.
So what I did is I bought the 4-inch bolts that are shoulder bolts, and I threaded the rest of it down with a die by hand, 8 of them. It's like, oh, shit. So yeah, now I made but now it ends up they gave the table to his brother, so he's gonna get the bolts. I'll probably still help.
So why did they go for? I mean, had used all that thread?
That's what they said. She showed me one of the original bolts, and it was a full thread 8mm bolt. Yeah, it's because it goes through a leg, so I think I would imagine there's got to be it's the way they catch the thread. It's going through the full, probably like a 3-inch leg into the side of the table. So I guess they have like an insert on either end that has threads in it.
Almost like a threaded spacer.
Yeah, I guess. So whatever. Like I said, I saw the one original bolt, so I know that that's what it is. But yeah, I gotta bring the floor jack. I gotta bring tools because I'll be doing an oil change on a RAV4, rotating the tires. Then I'm gonna look at the brakes, see how they are, and maybe pulling the calipers. So, like I was saying last week, I gotta bring 2 torque wrenches now. I need the 1/2 inch to do the wheels. I need my 3/8 if I gotta do the calipers. Actually, there's a site I follow, Brian. The guy sends me an email every now and again. It's oh shit, the guy. He's like a clearinghouse for used tools, and he puts stuff in groups. And one of the things that got my eye was a Matco 3/8 digital torque wrench, and he was asking like $250 for it. I said, I don't know what it sells for, full price, but I think $250 is a pretty good price.
It's a great deal, but again,
you don't know how it was taken care of. I know.
Well, you don't know the age of it. That's anything. All of that stuff electronically. After. I mean, as short as 2 or 3 years, 5 years, dude, you're not going to get parts for it, or it's just going to cost an arm and a leg to fix versus. That's why I had a guy come to me yesterday. It was the first generation digital torque wrench, and he's like, "I want this fixed," and I was like, "Good luck."
Wow, that's encouraging.
I said, "I'm really sorry, but he goes, well, I don't understand why," and I was like, "Dude, they don't keep. I mean, they just don't keep. It's like your cell phone. The technology changes and they improvements.
Yeah.
Well, this is what I want, and I'm like, dude. I said, here's the phone number. Here's the place that does it. It's in West Virginia. They take anything. I mean, they do it all. Call them up if they have the parts. If they can do it, just send it to them, because I don't want to make any money on it. Because when you have the problem, I just don't have.
You don't want to be married to it.
I don't want to have the problem.
I mean, that's another. It's the conversation we've had, but it's another case where now the consumer has a bad taste in his mouth for a company, which may not be the company's fault, but he spent a lot of money on a tool, and now he can't get it fixed. So
yeah,
he's going to blame somebody, and it's not going to be the guy at Starbucks.
Yeah. Well, that's why, I had the same thing. I had a guy, he had, it was, 1/2 inch, cordless, battery, impact.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, I said, the biggest problem, we don't even have batteries for this anymore.
Yeah, stuff electronics are almost obsolete the minute you buy it.
Yeah, and
I
Sometimes
saw-
even before you buy it.
And I don't really worry about stuff like that when I buy a tool because I'm very easy on my tools and I take care of them. But to buy something used, you don't know what the last guy did.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Right.
I
How
mean,
do
this
you-
guy showed the wrench. He showed it with the display lit, and also it was displaying. But was it displaying something correct? You know, it showed.
Well,
a
that's what
set-
I was going to ask. How do you get those calibrated or checked for calibration?
There's a calibrating machine. You know, a lot of the tool guys have it on the truck. It's just pretty much like a load cell. You dial it into what it's got to be, and you put the wrench on it. And you see if it matches.
Mm.
You know, there's home. You could do it yourself, like with a piece of string and a weight. You know, you could actually kind of get a close calibration like that. But then to recalibrate it is a whole nother procedure. Now you got to go inside and you have to, know what you're doing.
Yeah.
So checking
Yeah,
is one
it's-
thing, fixing it's another.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, I had, even some of the old Click ones, I sent and they don't have parts for. They just don't have parts for them anymore.
Yeah, that's just a beam that.
And that's just a spring and a beam, and it's got the little.
Well, we did learn about that little piece in there, right? From
Yeah, that
video.
little square or whatever.
Yeah,
that,
whatever they called it, right?
I can't remember what you call it, but again, they just and to be honest, like I said, that it's gotten. I almost want to say people have gotten lazy. It's just easier to say no instead of opening the can of worms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I hate being that way, but
Well, yeah,
I'll be
because I mean, listen, you've been in the service field for so long, and you're used to servicing your customers, and now you can't do it.
Yeah, it's just as a simple. I have one that takes. I don't even know what I'm going to do because I open my mouth. I gotta learn just to say no.
That'll get
But
you.
I had a guy with the older cordless, and it took brushes.
Oh yeah,
I mean, I've had brushes on order for 6 months.
really?
And now I got to go up to the go up to the hardware store. We have a really great hardware store, old school hardware store. One that's got like 3 inches of dust over in the corner,
Yeah.
and it's got all kinds of shit that nobody will ever know what they. You
Sounds
want to
like my
rebuild the
Sounds like my house.
Yeah. It's awesome. I love this place. I go in there for hours.
Yeah.
But now I gotta go dig around through these boxes of brushes to try to find something that's gonna work.
Well,
know?
I would grab a handful and listen. I've done it with older generators and all. Where I've filed the brushes to make them fit.
Yeah.
I've done that plenty of times years ago. I haven't done it recently, but
then there, and then of course it gets to a point. There's a part of it I know I can do that, but the guy ain't gonna pay me for doing that.
well, true.
And fuck, it is not even one of my regular customers.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So you're better off backing away from that. I would
Of
agree.
course, I've already opened my mouth, so I mean,
What'd you do that for? So all I gotta do is say, look, I went and I checked, and the guy doesn't have anything that's gonna, sorry, I tried.
So,
Don't
That's
go
how
in
you.
there-
That's how you ended up. You're waiting for the brushes to come in because they're on back order.
yeah.
Because you figured you could get them in real quick.
Well, I used to carry them on the truck. I used
Okay.
to. I mean, I can't tell you how much stuff I still do it. I repair a lot of stuff on the truck. I mean, a guy, walks out and they have a problem. They have a problem with their impact or whatever. I take it apart, fix it, put it and give it back to them, and they have it because I know they need it to work. But
You gotta tell them,
now it's
gotta tell them, don't go away mad, just go away.
and of
Don't let
course,
that door hit you in the ass.
Just don't do that with your wife.
No,
yeah.
you'll be looking for your ass in the next county.
And like I said,
exactly.
Be a chalk line around it.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
You'll find out how good of a shot she is real quick.
Yeah, very true.
As to what we were talking about earlier.
Right. Oh,
So,
God. All right.
I don't know. It's midnight, and
Yeah, time to go and
I'm
have
gonna go get some
cheese
red
and take out the
velvet.
garbage.
I'm gonna go get a slice of red velvet cake.
All right. Listen, you guys all have a great Father's Day. You're all good fathers. You deserve to have a day of honor. And
You're not having a show this.
yeah,
this,
we're doing a
this
show
week.
Sunday. Yeah,
Sunday.
the week after it'll be a replay. I'll send them a
Oh, you don't
replay
want me
show.
to fill in for you?
You know, believe it or not, Chris is going down to Disney.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And I thought he was going down to Disney. I thought we were going to be going down like the 2 consecutive weeks. So I thought there was going to be a week where he wasn't going to be there. And yeah, I was going to bring you in. I said, don't worry, Chris. I said, I got someone who can co-host. I said,
Yeah.
I'm bringing in Brian.
But why don't you just go ahead and tell him that I'm going to take over for the show, and I can I can pre-warm up for Thunder Road.
There you go.
I mean,
you got to start singing Bruce Springsteen songs.
I'm not a Bruce fan, but I can I can
Yeah.
warm up a little traffic or something. I mean, you know.
Yeah.
Hey, you could you could get out the 70s bell bottoms and elevator shoes from last week's show.
Yeah.
There was some good funky beat going on last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, I threw him a bone. Like, he was really happy too that I did that. I played the disco stuff because he's a disco boy. And so I'm thinking this week, like, you know what? Okay, what am I going to do this week? I should mix it up more. So I'm either gotta go to country or I got to go to oldies. I got to do something different.
Yeah.
There's no real Father's Day songs. I really couldn't think of anything for Father's Day.
Yeah.
Hmm.
You gotta
No,
play
you
the
could.
theme
I
for
could.
Al Bundy, "Love and Marriage."
Yeah. You know, I probably have that somewhere. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know when you started with the disco theme, I was like, oh, that's a good one. I got to look that one up. Do I have that on my playlist?
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, then when I'm looking at that CD, there's, you know, I always look for I want the first song I'm only playing like maybe 18, 20 seconds, maybe a little longer if there's a spot that I want to hit. But the second song, I need at least a 3-minute, 10-second, 3:15 or longer song because of the break. This song just plays in the background. I just pot it down. So it's just playing, and then when I pot it up, it's wherever it is.
Yeah.
But I've had it happen where I'll pot it up, the song ended. Like, oh shit, too short. So now I look at the timestamp for the second song, and there were 2 songs on that CD that were like 5 minutes. I'm like, oh, those are great songs. And the one is the one that I played, the Love Theme, which was that instrumental. That's when I said that was like the one Joe Causey played. He was a guy on an oldie station here in New York, and he was just doing a show till not too long ago. But he would always, a lot of shows use that as usually ending music or transition, sometimes even for traffic and weather. It's just a nice instrumental. So I knew Chris would perk up his ears because, you know, he's an old radio guy. He was like, hey, I'm like, yeah, we'll can the old. I said, I got to use this song. It's a long song. I want to use it for something. So
yeah, it's funny.
It was.
Didn't
funny.
you play Do the Hustle too on there?
Yeah, I've used the Hustle. Van McCoy. I've used that. Oh, the CDs are over there. Yeah. I don't know. I'll figure something out. Usually on Saturday I come up with something. I'm like, all right, what's it going to be? I don't know. So if you guys think any good Father's Day songs besides Love and Marriage, let me know. I'll see if I got it.
Well, there is the Motor City Madman, Cat Scratch Fever. I mean, isn't that kind of what got us into the?
Okay, I can see where you're going there. Yeah,
kind of what got us there.
Love is Like Oxygen by 10cc. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Love Hurts by Jay Giles.
Yeah.
We're gonna get in trouble.
I know. We're still alive, man. Somebody's gonna come to the end, and we're all dead men.
If I
So
play
much
that
for-
live, I'll be in trouble.
Yeah. So much for a good Father's Day. Thanks, Ray. You guys see,
All right,
you guys
guys.
see the four of us all sitting on the corner there.
Right, with a tin cup, and we'll all be sharing a piece of red velvet cake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Passing Granddad's cough syrup around.
There you go. We'll forget about our troubles.
That's it. All
All right, guys. We'll talk soon. And
All right,
I'll send you
yeah.
guys
Take care,
that link.
guys.
I'll probably send it to you tomorrow. That video and those sensors. I'll put it together and I'll send it out to you.
Perfect.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
And I
Awesome.
made it. You know what? And just so you know, I'll do it. I actually made a note to do it. So I got a post-it note, so I won't forget. So I'll do it tomorrow. All right, guys. Let me click this.